Message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS T-Drift.
Roger, nice to be in orbit. The first message that comes to you is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root.
Oh my gosh, we're back. I'm Joe Roop, and this is Lighting the Void. Gotta hope everything sounds okay. It does, it's beautiful. We're here with Dan Lopez tonight. It's gonna be different tonight. Tonight's all about Magick. Man, I just jumped right into that. I gotta tell you who I am. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void, and we are broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios from the great American South. It is Tuesday night, August the 21st, and the moon is starting to get full as it waxes on into midnight. So I want you to use this visualization. God, before we start this, imagine yourself firing up your chakras, syncing both hemispheres of your brain together and shooting your magical beam of light through your third eye tonight as we peer into the void on our search for truth. The call-in number tonight is 1-800-588-0335, and that number is going to be, I've got one more book signed by Wayne McCroy Jr. to give away, and then I think I'm done giving away books for a while, but we're live on lightingthevoid.com. Let's see, lightingthevoid.com, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, the Fringe FM, TalkStream Live, tune in, all those beautiful places that carry us. And you can call them affiliates, some people call them syndicates. They're really just websites that carry this program and applications that carry this program. But the cool thing is TalkStream Live has a listen line, and more people are using it. And that line is 701-719-3971. Usually the way we do this show is all about exploration of truth, consciousness, aliens, the paranormal, everything. It's just an exploration show. That's what this is about. We're not here to browbeat you with opinions, although I've been known to do that. But I'm hoping that before I die on this radio show that we do find some type of profound truth. That's the goal here. And I want to say thank you all to have supported and donated. We got one donation in yesterday, and that was great. It's good to see. I'm thankful for it. And I don't know if you guys are using the Audible link, but I did figure out why donations have slowed, and I really think it is because the start of the school year. I know that's rough on everybody, but I can't believe it's already happening. But it is a beautiful, I got to tell you, gorgeous night here in Arkansas. I've got the door open. I turn the AC off. The crickets are chirping. I might turn the gain up a little bit later to let you hear what it sounds like outside. There's no clouds out there. I can see just about every star that's not around where the moon is. I think this is going to be a good night, even though we're doing things a little different because we usually have a guest on. Well, I would say Dan Lopez is a guest. Highly, highly underestimated individual. His knowledge is great. And so I thought tonight, since I've gotten all these emails and messages and stuff about Magick and all these questions, that I would just get it all out of my system. And of course, I've got to have Dan here to yell at me when I screw up or if I say something dumb, or if he wants to chime in with his wisdom. The Reverend Dan Lopez is here with us in the shack. What's up, brother?
What's going on? I had the incredible urge to just go, get some.
Get some. Yeah, man, I got you. That does make me feel good. Get some.
Get some.
I don't know why. That's
okay.
I don't know why. It's fun to do. But yeah, you can support the show. I got to finish this, by the way. You can go to audibletrial.com/LTV radio, get you a free Audible book, and that will help support the show. It's a free trial. You can get a t-shirt. You can use the portal on the website, the Amazon portal. So if you're going to shop at Amazon, just say, well, I just click on this portal and shop at Amazon. That's at lightingthevoid.com. It's the little thing there that says shop at Amazon. There is a Amazon's wish list. And I can tell you that, like Moonlit, once I get done with these archives and audio journals and stuff with that small membership thing I'm working on, anybody that buys anything off of the wish list is going to get a lifetime membership to anything that ever has a paywall ever on this show. So take advantage of that if you're one of those philanthropists like Tom Campbell talks about and you just got wads of money. I also want to thank my team, Eric Markham. I'm a little bit worried about Eric. Like I said, you guys just pray for him as much as you can. If you don't pray, do whatever you do. His dad's real sick, and that's what he's focused on right now. I really think that. And I know he doesn't like to express his feelings that much, and that's all I got to say about that. I'm extremely worried about him. I love you, Eric, and let us know how things are going. And, yeah, I did. I uploaded like 20 or 30 shows. I got so behind on YouTube, I said, forget it. I'm just going to use the Spreaker thing, even though I hate it, and share all those shows to YouTube. So we're caught up over there on YouTube. And if you tweet anything, make sure that you do hashtag LTV radio. Now, there was another thing that I wanted to do, too, Dan. I don't know if you heard it last night, but I wanted your opinion. A lot of us chimed in on it. Keith Laney did. We talked about Mars last night. He chimed in on this, which was an email I received about Jenna's dream, and I said that we were going to continue to analyze it. So before we get into Magick, I do want to know what Dan's thing is. So I'm going to read this one more time. Just one more time, I promise. And I want to hear what Dan thinks about this. And if you want to call in, you can. The phone lines are open all night. The chat rooms are open. lightingthevoid.com/chat. That's the Discord chat room, and the Spreaker chat room's open. So it's from Jenna, and she says, I won't read the part where she thanks for the show and everything because y'all heard that part, but this is how it started. She said, it started out as a strange, hyper-realistic dream, and I'm in my house. I feel that something is off while I'm walking around like bad vibes. I'm standing in the living room, and I turn towards the kitchen, and I see a horrid-looking creature, sort of like a rotting zombie. I'm very afraid. It's walking into the kitchen, and I felt like it was looking for something or someone. Maybe me, but I can't be sure. For some reason, I decided to charge this thing because I'm afraid. So I come barreling towards it with my heart beating 1,000,000 miles an hour, and it looks at me surprised. Like it didn't even know I was there, and I even spooked it. Instantly upon impact, I'm in my bed, and there's these hulking black hands grabbing me all over my body, grabbing me through my bed and trying to pull me down to God knows where. The weird thing is that she says, Dan, that she wasn't afraid at all. The hands felt thoughtless and motionless, disembodied, but really strong and large. She feels like she was fighting probably 4 pairs of these hands with all of her strength, but they kept grabbing on tighter and pulling harder, and she was getting tired and her muscles were straining, but she said she was still unafraid. Utterly defiant is how she puts it. I was purely focused on fighting and trying to tell the hands to F off, but I wasn't able to speak. I focused my eyes and head towards the wall, and that's when I saw it. This tall, dark, cloaked thing. A man, she says. I tried to focus my eyes on it, but it would shift to the other side of the room every time I looked at it. And he, too, was emotionless, but his presence was commanding. He seemed ambivalent which was strangely comforting. I couldn't speak, but I remember thinking, who are you? Why is this happening? And I heard a voice, this booming yet quiet voice say, you asked for this. I asked for this, she said. I thought, that set me on fire, and I furiously ripped off the hands and started to come back into my body. I started to open my eyes, and I could hear my mouth struggling to say words. Now, I know what that feels like. You don't belong here, F off, bunch of cuss words, before waking up or whatever you call it. I sat up in my bed and said the same words over and over again. I think what she means is you don't belong here. But I felt so physically drained that I couldn't even stay sitting up. It took 30 minutes to actually get out of bed, and the whole day my body felt insanely weak, and I was in a complete mental fog. You asked for this. What did I ask for? What happened to me? On a side note, she did say that she had a near-death experience at 21. She had total organ failure, sepsis, heart failure, and double pneumonia all at once. It's a miracle she's even alive. She says, I felt just unafraid and just as defiant while I was dying as I did when I was being attacked by those hands. What does this all mean, Joe? Can you help me make sense of this? That's a pretty trippy dream. I thought I've had some scary dreams before, but that's pretty trippy. And I was just curious what you think about that, Dan.
Well, it's tough. It's tough when you're trying to figure out somebody else's dreams. You have to pay attention to a lot of keywords and what they're trying to tell you. There's a lot of unanswered stuff that I have questions for that I'm not going to get the answers for, like stuff that's going on around her environmentally, the stuff that's going around her and what she's taking in. Mm-hmm. What is she listening to? What is she watching? What is she reading? What is her environment like? And such, what are relationships like? All of these things take into account. And then what's going on with her physically, with her body.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if I'm looking at it from the old standpoint, where if I normally do dream interpretations, I'm pulling out keywords. So a house in symbology usually represents your body.
But what
your
about
house
the part
your
where
body.
When you start to wake
Hang
up?
on, I'll get to there.
That's what trips me out.
That takes a bit, yeah, and especially the worn out afterwards. And then there's the kitchen, okay, and the kitchen is usually the place where everybody gathers, right? That's considered like the heart of the house because that's where everybody goes. Everybody usually has a conversation around the kitchen,
right?
You know what I mean? So then you have this horrid thing. Now you have a horrid thing that shows up right after she mentions something about the kitchen, which is in the heart of the house. So it's like you're listening to this and you're trying to trace it back. And you're like, okay, and now there's an oppressive force with the horrid thing in the heart of the house. I could be completely off. But if I'm going to go by the way I learned how to understand other people's symbology, then this is what we're looking at here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So there could be something physically going on, which she's getting a hint about, and she's being told, you asked for this, because she wants to know what the hell is going on.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought too last night.
Okay, so now she's got this defiance against this oppressive force, because actually she doesn't want to deal with it. Okay, and then she has the male presence who comes out of nowhere, and that could be relevant to an aspect of yourself. In Casey's readings, he used to say, if you have dreams about it, everything in your dreams is always an aspect of yourself. Now, yes, of course, we can disagree about freaking, precog dreams and the like. If he's giving a dream scan of somebody,
yeah.
And it's a medical, intuitive dream, right? So these are different options. But we're talking about just interpreting this dream per se. So then the male presence, so I don't know what the male presence is. Is that a relationship that she's having with somebody? Is it a part of her? You know what I mean? Or is it a guide?
Or is it one of those
We don't
damn
know.
hooded figures I saw?
Well, it depends because, the thing is like when you have a presence and it's not of a benevolence, there'll usually be something wrong with it. Okay, there'll be like a missing arm, or there'll be like a blank face, or a missing leg, or it'll be just like a half body. It all depends. You have to get it. We got to get more details into that. So we didn't get any of that. And it says to her that you asked for this. Now that's something that she's also going to have to answer to. What do you mean that you asked for this? So in somewhere it could be she might have prayed for it. She had questions and she asked for this, and her dreams were her way that her body or her mind or her higher conscious is telling her what's going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the thing is that after this, she's worn out. She's like completely worn out to the point where it's taken her a half an hour to get out of bed. So she was obviously doing a lot of work, or she was completely stressing out in this state, and that there could be a lot of things going on. But what they do say is when you get up and you're like really worn out after being asleep for a good enough time to be rested, it usually means that you're doing a lot of work on yourself on the inside.
So you did a show called Spiritual Warrior Today Radio. To me, this kind of sounds like she's in a fight. Obviously
Yes.
She's in a fight for something.
Yes. I got a lot of questions for her to go into this because that's only the surface. I can only touch the surface from what I'm hearing, and in order to have more about it, I would have to ask her more.
I hope you call in one day. And I mean, you call, if you're listening, call in tonight. I mean, I would love to talk about this stuff. This is the stuff that fascinates me, but the reason why I wanted to make the show about Magick and talk about my journey, and we can get into Dan's journey too, is because I'm getting messages and emails about like little nitpicky things that people are wondering about. Like, what rituals should I start with? How is this being used against us? When I visualize this angel, I see this Hebrew letter. Am I doing it wrong? And it's just, this is a type of thing I was afraid of. And as far as and it's not a bad thing. These are good questions. But as far as Jenna goes, I would say that the reason why a mystic or a magician keeps a dream journal is because you start to get clues, and those clues build up to bigger things. One dream is, I guess you could look at it like one dream, but sometimes it goes along with other things that happen too.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right? So
exactly. That's why I said I could be completely wrong, but from the practices that I come to understand with dream interpretation, that's what I got.
So this is where your experience comes into play, where you have all these people that tell you this stuff isn't real and it's all in your mind, yada, yada, yada. Well, you keep, a magician will keep a dream journal, and I guess what you call a book of shadows or whatever, where the certain rituals, certain practices they've tried, what worked, what didn't. And as they go along, it takes time for you to really start seeing how this stuff works, because it all really depends on you. And there is no way that you can convince anybody, I guess, scientifically that it works. I never thought you could, but Dean Radin's got a pretty good book about it, actually. But what I want everybody to stress is, because I've talked about the system I used, which was a Rosicrucian system called the Golden Dawn, and everybody's kind of trying to pull out what they want to know from this. And what I will say is that even if you joined, let's say you joined a Rosicrucian school or a magic school or a mystery school, and it doesn't matter if it's on the internet or if you go to lodges or whatever you do, this journey that you're going to go on, no matter who's there to help you, is going to be all up to you, all about you, and you're going to be on your own, so to speak. So you can reach out for all the help that you want, but eventually you're going to have to come to a realization that this battle is about you. That's kind of why I wanted you to be here too, Dan, because you understand that.
Well, somebody, I can't remember where I heard it from, but somebody was saying that part of the philosophy of the Philosopher's Stone was that once you figure it out, you've learned yourself.
Yeah, see, that's the whole thing everybody's trying to figure out. And see, I don't want anybody to think that I'm trying to pretend to be an authority in the realm of magic or anything like that. I'm not. I'm an explorer of consciousness. That's it. When it comes to magic, I would still say I'm a neophyte at best. There are people out there that you could learn from. And I'm going to talk about that tonight. I'm going to talk about the different systems. I'm going to talk about how it's being used against you right now. How you need to be aware of certain things. What I've went through myself and what you're going to go through if you decide to do this thing. Like, I've been so afraid to talk about this subject like this, like we're doing tonight, because their old saying goes and this has been handed down from magicians. They say, the more you talk about your magic, the less it works. Well, that really depends. Am I going to tell you the examples of things that I've done all the way down to the T? No, probably not. But I'm going to tell you some like fundamentals that I've learned. And then you can decide what you want to do, if you want to do it at all. But my biggest thing is I want to make you aware of it, because right now, God, this is going to kind of be boring too, actually, when we start out with the basic principles of it. It's going to be boring.
Well, before you go into that, can I just ask you one question before we go to a break? Because we got a break coming up.
Yeah.
When you say that that the understanding is that the more that you talk about the magic, the less that it works. Did they explain the why to that?
Sort of.
Can you?
It has to do with the superconscious. It has to do with the astral realm. Like, first off, most of you listening right now, you've got your friends in your life, and you've got your family and your coworkers, and just random people you run into every day.
Okay.
If you went around telling all these people, hey, I practice magic, they have their beliefs about what you just said, their opinions, their energy, their vibration, about everything. Everything has an effect, which is a hermetic thing I'm going to talk to you about. Everything has an effect. Now, that effect you're going to have to deal with in the astral realm. You're just going to have to deal with it now, because they all know about it. So magicians, like real ceremonial magicians, even Wiccans and witches, a lot of times they don't really get out and brag about it, because they don't want to deal with that. They don't want to deal with your stuff and your beliefs and what you think about it, and have to deal with that too.
Oh, so you're saying in a bragging sense, if you go out and you share that in a okay.
Right. And okay. What Thomas Campbell said to me the other night was so profound, because that hit home to me, which you and I kind of got in a little tussle about, but I wasn't explaining it very well, because I asked him, I said, what if I wanted to do what was like in the Matrix and I wanted to fly? And he said, well, there's certain rules you can break, certain rules you can't, but you can. It just depends. Like, if you flew by yourself and nobody saw it, would that really affect everything? Would it affect the rule system, the rules of this reality? Not really. I mean, I'd go around screaming my head off that I flew, but no one's going to believe me. It's not really going to affect anything, right? But if I flew over the top of the Super Bowl and I was flying like Joe's with no rocket, just flying, people would be like, "What?" I mean, I'm sure people would think I was the devil or it was a trick or something. But I started to see his point. Now in magic, it's the same thing. It's like, other people's beliefs will affect your reality if you let it. So why even bother with it? Right? Why even bother with it? Why go there? Why deal with it? You got enough to deal with on your own. You got a lot to deal with, especially if reincarnation is true and you've been doing this over and over again, and you make that decision to go through this alchemical process in one life. You got enough on your plate to deal with, buddy. You don't need everybody else's stuff too. Right. And there's, There's more to it than that, too. You even see it. You could look up the sign of silence. You can Google it. Harpocrat.
No, there's a lot of merit to that. There's a lot of merit to that because it's the same thing. There's a similar principle inside the anonymous meetings, because you can't. They say that your problem shared is a problem halved. But if you go about talking about everything that you would normally talk about in a closed meeting, where you're pretty much accepted, but you want to go ahead and feel that you have that same acceptance outside of it, you're going to find out the hard way how untrue that is. Mm-hmm. Because the people that are going through their normal day-to-day normies are not working on themselves. So if you're working on yourself, they're going to look at you kind of crazy, because they're going to look at you like you got a problem. Now you already know you got a problem, but they don't see it the way you see it. You know what I'm saying? So you're working on yourself. You're working to better yourself. You're working to understand yourself. You're working on changing that which you were. So 90% of the people out there have nothing to do with that. They don't do that.
Right.
And so they're not going to see you or accept you for the way that you would think you would be accepted if you were among your peers.
Yeah, so when I start the show, when I talk about the basic principles, when I start the show, I always talk about in the realm of polarity. That's pretty much the checkerboard you see on a Masonic floor. And by the way, the sign of silence, if you look it up and you see, somebody holding their finger over their mouth, that's an ancient Egyptian sign, actually. But it's not a creepy thing like, here's this guy with a hood on saying be quiet and keeping a secret. It's about keeping your mouth shut, which is kind of totally opposite of what we're doing, or at least I'm doing. But I don't want anybody to be misled. This is why this is such a touchy subject. And thank the heavens that Dean Radin kind of agreed with me on that you need to work some things out with yourself before you start, in his mind, and my mind too, before you start really getting heavy with this stuff. And we'll get into that too, like demons and what are they, and negotiation, invocations, stuff like that. But how the astral realm works, like how it's worked for me, how it works with magic. But the biggest thing, it's kind of like today, or the other day, I put up a post about Alex Jones. Now, we all know, if there's any magicians listening to this, you know about the principle of polarity. You know that what kind of polarity Alex Jones causes between people. Your best friend could be your best friend. Oh, I love you, brother. I mean, we're brothers. Yeah, man. We're brothers. And the second you say, man, that Alex Jones guy is crazy, he don't want to talk to you no more. What happened to the brothers? That's how powerful the energy is. His whole paradigm shifted about you and about everything else because you don't agree with him about Alex Jones, because he is polarized by Alex Jones. I'm not saying polarity is a bad thing, but this is kind of like choose your battles. You have to know that energy is inside of you. And then you got to know when to use it and when it's not worth it. You have to know when it's being used against you. When it's time to give into it. Yeah, when it's time to give into it. And look, I'm guilty of it. You guys have heard me go off on stuff. I'm human. I make that mistake all the time. But it drives me up the wall. Like I'm out in the open. You know that. Like if I got a problem with you or you got a problem with me, I'll go straight to you. What's up, man? And you'll say it. That's why I love you. You'll say it. Look, I don't like this. Don't do this no more. Or I don't appreciate this. If I cause a problem with somebody and they just they duck and hide and they just don't talk to you, to me, I know it's cowardly, but that polarizes me. To me, it's cowardly. Just come out and tell me what your problem is. But it makes people uncomfortable. And I'm starting to learn that. Mm-hmm. Makes people uncomfortable. People don't want, certain people just don't want the confrontation. They just rather not deal with it. And I think I'm okay with that. And this guy, like Will, he said, I love Alex. Listen, if you think that I don't listen to InfoWars, you're wrong. I do listen to InfoWars. It's entertaining to me.
It's entertaining, right? Exactly.
You have it is so entertaining to me. And there is truth that he does speak. But then he gets extravagant, and you've seen him rip his shirt off and paint his face like the Joker and talk about, that's what I was trying to do about that video. Hillary smells like a green reptilian, and I was like, I don't want to be like that, And people they didn't take any of it in context. The polarization set in, and now we just drew a line in the sand. You threw the baby out with the bathwater. I didn't. Right, so that's what happens. So, yeah, shoot, we got to take a break, but
we got to go.
we got to go. Be right back.
Be right back.
But yeah, I do want to. I don't know. I don't know, Dan. I think it's time. I have to talk about it now because I've run my mouth about it too much. You know what I mean?
More of the basics with Joe Roop after these messages.
Oh, it's Dan. He's always keeping me straight. God love you, Dan. Yeah, we'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere after these messages.
To Lighting the Void Radio.
The truth is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTOK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
It's the Stranger Than Fiction News for The Fringe FM, bringing light to the stories that surround us. A pilot wanted for secretive Janet Airlines flight to Area 51. If you got loads of experience in top secret missions and an affinity for UFOs, then the job opportunity has arrived that may be impossible to pass up. Janet Airlines, the unofficial name of the classified fleet for the U.S. Air Force, is looking for a pilot to join the secretive ranks at McCarran International Airport in Las Vegas, Nevada. The planes, which don't carry any company logos, are painted white with a horizontal red band along the side, transport military and contract employees to restricted sites, including the infamous Area 51 and the Tonopah test range in Nevada. The job opening has been posted on a website of the private defense contractor AECOM for the first officer based in Las Vegas. Although it doesn't go into specifics about where they will be flying, the demands for those applying are very high. You can read more on this story at foxnews.com. And jumping spiders that are capable of jumping over an average-sized human being have been spotted in the United Kingdom for the first time ever. This rare type of arachnid, known as Cibia nor-larae, has never before been seen in the British shores. However, they were recently discovered by arachnologists in June in Warrington, Cheshire, at the Hollycroft Moss Nature Reserve. You can read more on this creepy story at the Daily Mail online. And as Katie Stubblefield brushes her fingers across her face, she could feel the wound. That was before Katie, at the age of 21, became the youngest person in the United States to receive a face transplant. The transplant, performed last year, aims to restore Katie's face structures and functions, such as chewing, breathing, and swallowing, which were lost in a severe gunshot injury and the haunting outcome of a suicide attempt by a teenager. You can read more on this fascinating story at CNN.com. And a man claims he saw a group of humanoids in Kyoto, Japan. The man reports that he was on his way back to his Airbnb when he came upon the entities at about 11:40 p.m. He's quoted as saying, "I was walking through the courtyard right before the neighborhood entrance when I noticed 2 4-foot-tall human-looking creatures jumping the wall of a shrine and running away." He reported this to MUFON about the March 11th, 2018 encounter. The man described the creatures as being as white as snow and having skinny legs and arms. Their heads, he says, had pointy ears and big black triangular eyes. You can read more of this story at cryptozoologynews.com. And for this week's fun fact, in 1994, a man was arrested because he was dressed as the Grim Reaper and just stood and stared into the windows of the home for the elderly. Now that's cruel intentions. And that wraps it up for another edition of the Stranger Than Fiction News right here on the Fringe FM. And remember, you can save a life. Don't drive and text.
Nights on the Fringe FM just got even better. You wanted more live late night programming?
Do it live!
Now you've got it. Don't miss the Paranormal Code with Rich Giordano at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, yeah.
Followed by Lighting the Void with me, Joe Roop, at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. There's something more to it. And bringing us home is Ryan Gable at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern.
These secret teachings.
Live all night and the best of the Fringe FM all day.
This is Jason Lindgren from Crow 777 Radio, and you can hear us 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Saturday night here on the Fringe FM.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
Select Joe Roop at checkout at ancientlifeoil.com. Welcome back to Lighting the Void. I am your host, Joe Roop, and we are talking about magic tonight. Magic. That's it. Magic with a C, magic with a CK. However you want to say it, I spell it with a CK, just to let you know it's different than the David Blaine stuff. I went to the store today and they said, what do you know, I got these people in my neighborhood, Dan, that listen to the show. What are you going to talk about tonight? That's why I'm going to talk about magic. Oh, I love magic. You mean like the David Blaine stuff? That stuff's great. No. And then they give me this weird cockeyed look. Well, what are you talking about? You know?
What kind of magic you got?
What kind of magic? Well, I'm talking about, some people call it occult science. Magic with a Q.
What the hell is that?
Right. Occult science. I've heard it called that. Occult science. Occult means hidden. Science is, well, you know what science means. Stuff that works, right? Like technology. We have the technology we have today because of modern science. Well, these magicians can do what they can do because of occult science. Hidden science. That's what they look at it that way. They don't look at astrology and tarot and everything as woo-woo. They look at it as a real fundamental science. Kind of. Not the same, but kind of. And so I hope that we're past polarity. I hope we're past this point where you understand it. If you want to see a bunch of polar people, all you got to do is get on Facebook and Twitter. You want to see polarity at its best? I would love for 3 of you to do an experiment and then call me and tell me what happened. Put up a picture of Alex Jones, put a question mark. That's it. Don't say nothing. Just put a question mark, post it on your Facebook page. Do the same thing with Trump, Hillary, you name it. And watch this polarity go. Just watch the energy just do its thing. And so you see that checkerboard floor, right, on masonry. So that's what they learn. This is, you're living in a polar universe. It's the biggest energy going right now besides male and female. And that's kind of polar too. But, yeah. So become aware of that. That's the only thing. So don't ask me how you need to visualize a certain angel when you do a ritual. Become aware of polarity. Become aware of how your family's using it against you, how you use it against yourself, how you're focused on what your friend said about you, and you just can't get over it, right? Just become aware of that energy, and then you can become a master of it. Then you get to choose what affects you and what doesn't. I remember Art Bell said one time on Larry King, he said, you can't do a radio show and care about what people think. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know. Because I do care about what you guys think. I don't want you going out and invoking demons and stuff because I'm talking about it. And you actually invoke one of these nasty bastards into your household and you don't know how to deal with it. Right, Dan? Like, that happens a lot, I think.
Yeah, I've said that a long time ago. I'm like, if you're going to be a host of a show and you're going to talk to people from your experience, from your strength, from your life, people tend to take that, to heart. And some people will like to use and think that what you did is going to be okay for them. And they just will go in whole hog and not even think about consequences or anything like that, or how it'll affect them, and we have to be cognizant of what we're sharing, so it's I agree with you. And I've always said this, I'm not for everybody. I got no problem not being for everybody.
Yeah, for real.
Right?
Yeah, like there's wisdom in what you're saying there, I think.
I think
for sure. Like, listen, I listen to all these other radio shows, whether you like it or not. I do. I listen to Clyde Lewis. I listen to Coast to Coast. I listen to Jimmy Church. I listen to all these people. I learned something from these guys. Yeah. I learn from the people around me in this community. Who I don't learn from are the people that complain about these people. Right? Like, I've got my complaints about them too, but past that, what do we got? Nothing. Right? Just nothing but complaints. Right? So what I mean is these people are using these principles. Everybody's doing magic. You're doing it right now. You're cursing things in your life and you're bringing things into your life. The planets are moving. The stars are moving. There's certain energies that are happening all the time that can either help you or hurt you. But your mouth is hurting you or helping you all the time. So this is the hardest part. Like, you can do all these rituals and go through this grade and get the black belt and whatever magic system, but at the end of the day, the hardest part is learning how to control your emotions. I almost had a breakdown earlier today. I had to, just earlier, actually. I had to learn to control it. How to control what you think. Try that out. See, I learned that from Frederick Xavier, right, who teaches magic. He also says, you would think he was going to start with the wands and pentacles and teach you how to cast curses and spells. But one of the first things he talks about is every time you have a thought, I want you to write down whether you accept that thought or you reject it. And it's even more powerful if you say, I accept it or I reject it. No, that's not the problem. It's not that you can do that. Like, it's not like anybody can do that. My son can do that. Anybody. The problem is you give up because it's too much effort.
It's true. It's true. I mean, if you talk to any of your friends and you listen to what they say, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll start telling you their mind speak, right? What's going on in their head. And sometimes you really have to turn around and say to them, where did you hear that? Like, they'll be saying to themselves, well, I'm not this, or I'm not that, or I'll never be this, or I'll never be that. And you have to ask them, where did you hear that from? Mm-hmm. Who told you that? You know what I mean? Is that something you came up with yourself, or did you hear that? And a lot of times, it's just something that we conjure up our from ourselves, because we start comparing ourselves to everything else around us. And so we start getting this formulation in our head that we are this compared to that. And so all of a sudden we're either okay or we're not okay. And when we're not okay with it, we're right there showing and telling people what we're about. You know, and a lot of people are out there and they're narcissistic and they're out there saying, well, I'm this and that and I'm great. And that's their voice speak. You know what I mean? And that's what gets them going. And then you sit there and you wonder, what's the difference between this person and that person? And how come this one's getting so much attention and that one's getting nothing? Because they're over there sitting in the corner bitching away.
Yeah. So in Magick, why do you can't look at this thing as an easy thing? It's not easy, right?
No.
So
simple.
The first thing you realize after you read these books and you start realizing just how screwed up you are from all your thoughts and your beliefs and your paradigms, and we all can agree on that. Every mystic on every radio show has talked about that. But changing it is a whole nother thing. You got Bob Proctor out there going, let's do an affirmation. Let's say I am beautiful and lovely and people like me and I'm rich and successful, and let's say that 3,000 times a day. Are you really going to do that? Because I can't do that. I can't do that.
Some people can't meditate.
Some people can, but I can't. So this is why I took the approach of ceremonial magic, right? Because the first things you learn, and this isn't secret stuff, it's online. You learn, like in the Golden Dawn, you learn the rite of the Kabbalistic cross. And I grew up in a Christian atmosphere, so I know what that means. It's an affirmation of who you are. Then you learn the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. You learn how to project bad energy away from you and do the middle pillar, take in good energy. The analysis of the keyword. So in other words, you learn how powerful your words actually are. Then you learn what the colors do, how they affect you. How does staring at this candle affect me? How does this color affect me when I focus on it? Matter of fact, one of the first things that they teach you to do, which you think, I could do that, is they teach you to stare at it. You can get the book. It'll show you. They teach you to just make a point in space, right? This is magic at its core right here, I'm telling you. Draw a point like a dot anywhere. Put it on a piece of paper, hang it on a wall, whatever you want to do, and focus on that dot for as long as you can. When I heard that, I was like, you got to be kidding me. What the hell is this? Like, how am I going to get a new car doing this? How am I going to, sprinkle some fairy dust and get the love of my life? Like, it didn't have anything to do with it. It had to do with teaching you all about focus. How long can you focus before you give out? Now, Crowley had a different way of doing it. He had these God forms, right, that you would sit in and do. It's how you started pranayama, right? And you would sit in a certain position. So you'd sit in a certain position, whichever one. I think there was 3 or 4 different ones. There's like the dragon, the God form. If you're heavy like me, the God form probably works because really you just sit there pretty square. Now, the idea is to sit in this position and not move. Try not to blink, try not to move, and focus. Now, what is this doing for you, right? Is this just some kind of game you're playing with your mind? No. What happens is you start to see the games that your mind plays with you. How long till you have to move or fidget or twitch or think about something else? Can you really control it like you think you can? Or is it controlling you? So all of this stuff, when you learn in the beginning, it becomes incredibly humbling because you think you're in control of all these things. Well, I can't control my money. I can't control this. I can't control what happens, but I can control my life. But you're not in control of your life like you think you are. You can't even control your own mind.
Right.
So if you want to take the victim mentality, I would say, yeah, we're all victims of our own crap. And right there, your world starts opening up. I can't even control my mind for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, however long it takes. I can't do it. I've got to be able to do this. And you do these ceremonies or these rituals every single day. Why? Why do you do it every day? Because you have to retrain your mind again. You have to retrain your energy and your body and everything about your screwed up self again. Now, if you believe you're perfect and you ain't screwed up, then you probably shouldn't be even listening right now. But we're all screwed up, I promise.
That's why I snicker at people who keep bringing up the free will thing. I'm like, free will, You don't even know how to exercise the will that you have.
That's true. So and then you got the intellectuals, right, where they love studying this stuff, but they don't practice it much. And boy, let me tell you, this is a huge distraction, because the material and magic and grimoires and Gnostic texts and everything under the sun, you don't have enough time in your life to read it all, I promise you.
No.
So those people that are highly educated, that have been doing this stuff since they were little, like Gordon White or David Griffin or Nineveh Shadrach and these Stephen Ash, these real magicians, I mean, I would listen to what they say. But anyways, so that's what you start. You start learning how ceremony works, and then you notice, well, I've been doing this stuff in church, or I do this every day. Why are they teaching you these things? Who's doing this? So becoming a magician really is having power over what enters your mind and what affects you. Having power over these things, and that's the intellect. And then you go through the grades, right? And this is all initiation. I don't care what system you use, whether it's Eastern or Western. Eventually, you're going to have to deal with your mind, your emotions, your earthly stuff like your health and your finances and your desires, which is fire. So you got the elements you're going to have to deal with. There's so many people out there calling themselves magicians that haven't even started down that road yet.
But it takes time.
It does take time.
Yeah. But what they don't tell you is how long does it usually take you to do these things. The norm for building up a habit, what we're really trying to do is alter habits. So right now I got a bad habit. So what I want to do is I want to replace my bad habit with a good habit. So in order to do that, I have to start practicing something completely different that's going to take the place, because you can't leave a void there, because it'll be filled up with some kind of crap. And sure enough, if there isn't nothing to fill it up, your old habit will freaking jump right in there before you know it. And so there's a way to say, maybe you should give this about 29 days. 29 days to 30 days. You do it for 30 days, now you're starting to feel comfortable with it. You do it for 90 days, you can pretty much get through and have it be second nature. Mm-hmm. You do it for a year, you don't even think about it. You just do it naturally.
Yeah. And then you start to learn, once you learn like the Hermetic principles, which we've talked about on the show, polarity, vibration, gender, ebb and flow. I mean, there's 7 Hermetic principles. I can't even think them off the top of my head. But you learn these things and you see it happening in the world every day. Everywhere you go, you see people being manipulated by this stuff. And not because they're weaker and you're stronger, or they're less aware and you're more aware. That's the problem, is you got to focus how it's happening to you. Because this is an individual path. A magician's path isn't to do these things and then step out into the public and change everybody. Mm-hmm. You ever see the Hermit card? It's a lonely path, right? I used to have hundreds of friends, like real life friends. I got maybe 3 or 4 real friends right now. I'm lucky. And once you get down this road, once you understand that, it becomes hard to deal with. And Dan been there when I started going through this. The social world, it becomes intolerable.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tolerate people. You can't tolerate the world, because now you feel like you're in a cage with a bunch of monkeys.
You can't express yourself.
You can't, and when you go to try to talk to somebody about it, they just treat you like you're weird. So now the best thing to do is keep your mouth shut, right? Mm. Be silent. That goes back to the silence thing again.
Well, that's what happens with a lot of people. They're already in a ritualistic situation because they're going out, they're going to work, they're coming back, and the first thing that they do is they flip on the tube, and they sit there for several hours. They train themselves in whatever polarity that they're taking in from the tube. Then they turn it off, and then they go to sleep. and they let their unconscious freaking go and play in that playground of superficiality. And so they wonder why nothing changes, because they're being programmed and they don't even realize it. But they just go to sleep on it, and they do this day in and day out, and they wonder why nothing changes and how come they feel so bad.
So if you think that magic isn't being used against you, look, man, I don't know if there's some guy in a tower, like I said, with runes tattooed all over him doing all this stuff, or if it's archons or whatever, but I do know that it's happening. The birth of the media would just report things. That was their job, man. They would just report stuff. That's it. Now it's polarized.
Steiner called it black magic.
That's what I believe it is too. When we started this country, we had Democratic Republicans. Then the divide happened. Polarity, racism, class warfare. It's 2018. It's about to be 2019, and in some cases it's worse now than it's ever been. I wouldn't say maybe not racism, but polarity for sure.
Well, that depends on where you go.
And so right now, as I speak out about it, and you don't want to hear this stuff. Do you really want to hear this? Do you really want me to answer your questions about magic? Because it's going to make you have to deal with yourself. You don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I'd rather flip on Netflix and watch that. Or I told Dan during the break, to be honest with you, I'd rather be outside right now on the bed of my truck looking at the stars, listening to a different radio show right now. I used to be a listener. I miss it, man. I do. But I can't find anything worth listening to except maybe Clyde Lewis. Sorry. I'm sorry. That's the truth. And so I want this to be a fun thing, but I got a question the other day from a guy that was doing the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, which is a ritual where you draw pentagrams, and this is a visualization ritual. You're not actually drawing pentagrams in the real world, but you're drawing pentagrams, and you're saying you're saying God names, and then you're invoking the archangels at each quarter, right? Now, why do we do this? This is the weird stuff. Why are we doing this? Well, I can tell you that these names have been used for a very, very, very long time. And you don't have to believe in magic or the gods themselves, but if you know anything about Carl Jung, you will know the power of them. I personally believe in angels. I don't know what they are, but I do believe in them. And I know they're there all the time. I've had guests on here that tell me about it. So you learn to banish the stuff, and you got to be real visual when you do it, right? You got to I can't say visualize anymore. You got to visualize the pentagram, and you got to visualize the angel that you're calling on and what they look like. And this guy was like, well, I know this Hebrew letter is supposed to be here on this angel. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're worrying about the specifics
what happened
too much.
He didn't even go into the circle. You got to do the circle, then you got to do earth, then you got to do spirit, then you have to do fire, then you got to do water, and then you got to do air, and then you come back down to earth.
Well, if anybody wants to know the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, it's the oldest ceremonial banishing ritual. It's actually called the lesser ritual, the pentagram, but it's one of the oldest there is. And then you use hexagrams. Pentagrams control elements, and hexagrams control planets, right? Now, this sounds extremely wild, but man, how did ancient Egypt last 3,000 years? Think about it. They did this stuff. I mean, they only went out to Saturn. They didn't see past Saturn. Yeah, the 7 ancient planets was the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, right? That's where you get the days of the week from. And then there's actually certain times of the year that they're in certain areas, and it takes so many days for one planet to go around and so many for the next. And so you have all these different planetary alignments which correspond to different energies. Now, do I know that these energies really exist? Like, for example, do I know that Saturn is actually the energy behind death, the word no, the metal lead, the word stop, the color black, and all these correspondences people give to Saturn. I don't know if it's in control of that energy or not. I really don't, but I do know it works.
You got to try it.
It works, right? And we all need, like Saturn gets a bad rap, we all need something to tell us no. We all need, that's enough. I just jumped right into planetary energy. See, this is what I don't want to talk about. It's such a vast subject. It's hard to talk about. But each planet has their own energy. Each star system, too. Or whatever you want to call it. Astrological sign, not star system. And so you could be on Monday, which is the day of the moon. And then there's hours for each planet, right? And so these magicians will stack the deck. Like if they want to invoke, I don't know, a certain amount of money in their life, they'll do it on the day of maybe Earth or maybe Mercury, however they want to do it. And they do it at the hour of Earth or whatever. And then they bury it in the Earth. And for some reason, the universe goes, oh, this is what they want. Like the universe understands that language. You can't just go, can you send me $1,000, please? It doesn't understand that for some reason, but it understands the symbols and everything you're doing, and it has for millennia. Shit. I cussed, and I got to take a break. All right. Anyways, I hope you guys got some questions. I'm not even looking at the chat room, but we'll be right back.
They went quiet. They're all listening.
Oh, they're all listening, or I scared them off, one of the two. We got to get out of here. Be right back after these messages.
This is Cortana from Shift Happens, telling you to pour a glass and park your ass, because you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Shifthead.
How you doing today, guys? This is Garrett Lee.
And this is Randy Warner.
We're the hosts of Healers and Hellraisers, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Live for 3 hours every Saturday night. It's a show that engages the mind, makes you think, and maybe even challenge what you think you know. Hi, I'm Jeremy Scott of Into the Paranormal, where we talk about topics that are anything but mainstream, somewhere between abnormal and paranormal. Bring an open mind and join us for Into the Paranormal, live Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on The Fringe FM.
From birth, we have been conditioned to conform to what is normal, conditioned to adhere to authority, and conditioned to repeat what has been told to us as truth. I'm Ryan Gable, and here at the Secret Teachings Radio, I've interviewed hundreds of great guests and done extensive unique research into subjects that span from the paranormal and the occult to health, philosophy, and history. I personally have no affiliations or agenda, except to use objective critical thinking in my analysis of every subject discussed, to empower myself with information and hopefully allow you to do the same. If you want to join me, tune into the Secret Teachings radio broadcast, airing live Monday through Friday from midnight to 3 a.m. U.S. Pacific Standard Time on the Fringe FM. For more information, you can visit our website at www.thesecretteachings.info or email me at rdgable@yahoo.com.
Reclaim your active lifestyle with Angioprim. Angioprim is the original liquid oral chelation supplement. Chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in your veins and arteries that can cause blockages. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. Find out more. Go to angioprim.com. Talk to a trained consultant by calling Angioprim toll-free 877-882-7221.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, You know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Want to know what's on the Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm. Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Welcome back to Lighting the Void. We're here with the Reverend Dan Lopez, and tonight we're discussing Magick and how it is used, how you can use it, how it's being used against you. And then later on, we're going to do a ritual and cut the head off a chicken. No, I'm just playing. But that's what we're discussing tonight.
You could talk to my aunt about that one.
So, specifically like ceremonial magic, that was supposed to fade out, and it upcut me. Did you hear it?
I know.
It upcut me.
Yes.
Yes. Why did it do that? You know, you pay all this money for software and then it upcuts you. That pisses me off. Anyways,
because it's love. I like what he had to say though about the feeding poisons and stuff like that, because there is a story about a monk who was trapped, held prisoner, and they were feeding him sewage water and like rat poison.
What?
And he lived, and they kept him there for over 7 years. I think it was like 9 years. And he lived eating only what they gave him. And what he did was he prayed over the food every time they gave it to him. And that was the only way he survived that. There's the same thing about a Vietnam POW who was trapped inside one of those bamboo things that they kept with the rats and all of that stuff in a rice paddy. And he did the same thing. They fed him like crap and stuff like that. And he survived. I think they had him in there for over 10 years. He was a mess when they got him out. But he said that he prayed every day.
Yeah,
that was the only way that he was able to. That was the only way. You want to talk about a ritual magic? There you go.
Yeah, you don't have to draw a circle and do the lesser. You can pray, and it's just as powerful. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, prayer is powerful. Gordon White will tell you that. I mean, it's powerful. David Griffin agrees with that. You know, here's the whole reason why I started out using the Golden Dawn, and I still use it today, is because of my paradigm is I grew up in the Christian paradigm. You know, there's people that believe Jesus is real. There's people that believe it's a symbol. There's people that believe it's just consciousness. Whatever they want to believe, that's fine. Okay? I believe it's both. I'm not polar about it. I believe it's a state of being, and also the man walked on the earth. Sorry if you don't agree with me. You can get polarized about that, but Even the Rosicrucians called him the master for a reason, right? But that whole Golden Dawn system starts out Judeo-Christian and then eventually takes you into, Egyptian, and kind of shows you where all of these things came from, where the story came from. It goes back to, Isis, Osiris, and Horus, what they represent. And so, whether you believe it or not, when you draw this circle around yourself and you're saying these names and you're going, I don't know why I'm doing this. This is ridiculous. Keep doing it, buddy. Wait and see what happens. And then you're going to be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have started doing this. Or, hell yeah, something's happening. Because that's, just to be honest with you guys, that's when I started having these out-of-body experiences. I started meeting these beings. I realized that's when I had to face myself, and myself is in that realm. And I wasn't ready yet. I just wasn't ready yet. And some people come to this earth and they're born more advanced, like someone like Robert Monroe or Thomas Campbell, where they're already super intelligent, and maybe they've done this a million times, and they come here and they've got something else to do. And they just have these experiences. Joseph K. says, I'd like to address something that Joe said about not having many interesting, I didn't say podcasts, I said radio shows. I got all kinds of podcasts I listen to, but I love live radio or I wouldn't be doing it. I love the nostalgia of it. There's some dude in a bunker somewhere talking right now as I'm listening. To me, there's not that many great live radio shows left. That's what I loved listening to. That's why I'm doing it now, because I loved it. I still love it. And to be honest with you, certain people are starting to make me not like it anymore. And I will get rid of them. I'm sorry, but I'm going to get rid of them because this is everything to me. And so we're going to keep doing this, and I'm not going to let anyone make this not fun or exploitative for me. Ever. Sorry, this is not going to happen. And sorry about those upcoming victims, but they're coming. They're going to feel like victims, but whatever. So
anyway, the moon and the
magic,
stars.
The moon and the stars, right? The moon and the stars, yes, they were seen back then as energetic influences, right? And they corresponded to certain parts of your body. They corresponded to certain plants, certain animals, certain times of the year, certain hours of the day, and the magician understood all of these things. And they could use it for their advantage, or they could just be aware of it. And so this is why a lot of magicians became astrologers, because once you really start to study magic, it's not like you pick a book on necromancy and you're a magician. You start to understand that you have to take care of yourself. You've got to round out yourself, which they kind of teach you that in masonry. Masonry is like a watered-down version of the Golden Dawn, if you ask me. Right? And so they teach you that. You got to round out yourself. It's like masonry is like this prep school for knowledge, you know? And most of them are like, oh, okay, I'm part of a fraternity, and I'm the junior warden of this lodge, but you have no idea why you're doing the rituals or saying what you're saying, do you? And Albert Pike wrote about this. He told you what it was all about, right? And that goes into that Lucifer question you were asking about, right, earlier during the break. But so they understood these things. They understood the energetic influences, and Masonry and the Golden Dawn and Western ceremonial magicians used the system of the Tree of Life, or the Kabbalah, right, which was a Jewish mystical system. You've seen the tree with all the little Sephiroth and the paths. And I can say that the Golden Dawn, they put their own kind of correspondences to it. They put the tarot cards up there, the Hebrew letters, and it all kind of fit into this one amazing system. And not only did it fit, when they used the system and they wrote in their dream journals and they wrote in their book of shadows, they saw that this system worked. Right? So it worked. So you'll hear some chaos magician say, that doesn't work. Well, let me ask you this. Did you go through the elements before you started, invoking Cthulhu or whatever? Or whatever, Batman, whatever you're doing. Did you really go through this initiatic path? I know some of you had, but ask yourself that. It may take me the rest of my life to go through the elements, and probably will, because I'm stubborn. And then their idea was, once you get through these elemental grades, once you've rounded out your intellectual nature, your emotional nature, your desire, your earth, right? You've dealt with yourself. You've studied astrology. You at least know the basics. Some magicians chose to be astrologers. They just kept going down that road. But you know the basics of the tarot, the basics of astrology. You know the Hebrew language, which is a magical language, by the way. It's actually the Babylonian flame letters, if you really look at it. And you know these things become your tools, right? Then you're ready. At that point, you go through a grade called Portal, right? And it just kind of washes over everything again. Now, I heard somebody on a radio show the other day saying, them Golden Dawn magicians, they got this thing called Portal, and they go through portals. They're opening up portals. And I'm like, you didn't even read the grade. The books are there, didn't even read it. You know?
Right.
So, but anyways, then you're ready. Then all the rest of the work after that is enter. Now you're doing astral travel. Now you're doing real shadow work. And you're doing all the cool stuff you hear magicians talk about. Some magicians choose to go down that road. They even pull out the Goetia and they start invoking these demons. Now, here's where it gets crazy, guys. If you want to know if I've ever invoked a demon, the answer is no. Can I tell you that I will never do it? I can't answer that question, but right now, I don't think it's a good idea. I just don't. And a lot of magicians agreed that it wasn't a good idea, and that's where that old Golden Dawn group started breaking apart. Some left. And then they got into the John Dee's Enochian language, which is pretty much at the top of everything. The angelic language, which some people believe could be evil, and so that group disbanded, and Paul Foster Case went his own way. Dion Fortune kind of did their own thing, and then others kept doing the Enochian thing. Now, I don't think Enochian's bad because I haven't seen it kill anybody yet that I know of, but I don't know. Now let's talk about demons for a second. Go ahead.
And speaking about demons, where did that magic number box reside?
Number box.
There was a magic number box where the numbers were thrown in. This is a part of
the Enochian system.
Is it? I don't know. I don't think so. I thought it was. I thought it was a part of the alchemical practice. But so as the story goes,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There is a magical number box. You can look it up. And so what happens is there's a way of dealing with the numbers, and you put them in the box and you start moving the box around and you build up your intent. And this was the way that they were able to invoke discarnate figures.
Yeah. I've heard about that. But see, that's supposed to be advanced stuff, not something you just start doing. Right. So,
well, yeah, I mean, that's, this, as far as what you're saying, a lot of people like to jump right in and go into these things without going through step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
And, and I think that's kind of premature.
Yeah, well, so
dangerous.
Some of the things you start learning about is scrying and the spirit vision. You know how you see these people, they use mirrors and scrying balls. They even use tarot cards or the tatua cards, flashing color cards, where they could focus. See, now you start to realize, this is why I was doing all that focus exercises in the beginning, because now I can travel while I'm aware by scrying. So scrying in the spirit vision is not like remote viewing. It's I can't even really explain it. It's hard to explain. You have to look it up. It's called scrying in the spirit vision, right? And then you learn divination. You learn all of these things.
You know what my question's going to be, right? No. The thing is that when people are going into these areas, protection. Setting up the environment, setting up your intent, setting up your will, and protecting yourself and making sure that you're if something happens to come your way, you're okay.
Well, see, that's where I kind of differ. I feel different than everybody. Like, I've read Psychic Self-Defense. It's a good book, and you learn the fundamentals there, but There's only two things I do for protection, and they work, and they always have worked. I can do the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, and I begin it with a prayer and follow it with a prayer.
But that's exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
That's
it's the same thing, but yeah, okay. But I can also do
protection.
the sign of silence. And she just looked that up. You could do that anywhere. So everybody's all concerned about getting the gooey stuff out of their house and their closets, and I mean, yeah, you could do all that. There, definitely. But what if you're in traffic? What if you're in somebody else's house? You're not always in your home. You can do these things in your mind. That's why you can hear things in your mind. You can see things in your mind. You learn to use that. And advanced magicians can do it anywhere. Anywhere. But yeah, if you can have a cluttered home easily. And so when you start learning about this energetic work, like what I'm bringing into my house, and it really gets weird. Like, oh, you know how people, when I brought this chair in here, people are like, you might have brought some bad energy in there. You think that's just, that's some woo-woo stuff right there. But here's, let's look at it on a metaphysical level. Who's touched this thing? Who's been around it? Who looked at it and called it a stupid chair? Right? Does it affect it? I think it does. And so you just cleanse things that come into your home. Now this is really detailed stuff. I really didn't want to get into that, but they use the system of the Kabbalah, right? The Masons, the Rosicrucians, the Golden Dawn, they use that system. That's where they put all their little grades, and you go up the system. And I'm not trying to talk down to it because I still think it's a great system. And then you get into theurgy. Now, this is the kind of the spooky stuff. Invoking God names like Thoth or certain angels or certain Egyptian gods. That's what they start out with, right?
Is that what you did?
No, I haven't done that. I'm not that advanced. Right? I'm not doing that stuff. Right now I'm just praying and protecting and doing my thing. Still working on myself. Like I said, I may be doing it the rest of my life. But do I do low magic here and there? If I said no, I'd be lying to you. I mean, do I do a little sigil magic here and there? Absolutely. Do I do something to try to astral travel and learn something? Yeah. Do I dream journal? Yeah, I do that stuff. But this is an extremely, extremely lonely path. You don't have to do this system. That's the biggest part of what I wanted to talk about tonight is you don't have to become a magician because magic exists. You just got to learn how it works and use it your own way. You can go into Buddha or Zen Buddhism or Tai Chi or whatever. I mean, they got hybrid systems now where you got these people that are talking about the reptilian overlords and stuff that they talk to every night, but they're also calling upon ancient Egyptian gods. So they're blending magic with mysticism and alien stuff.
And just to digress this for a second, what was the question that brought this on again? What was the person who sent that email? What was his question?
Well, his question was, he was talking about the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, I'm pretty sure. And when he visualizes a certain angel, he was asking me specifics about it. And I don't have to say his name, but I know it's supposed to have this Hebrew letter on it. Look, there's a really good visualization in Liam Thomas Christopher's book where you visualize, let's say, Michael, when you call upon Michael and he comes up out of the desert and you see a desert behind him, right? Because heat and dryness represents fire. Right? And he's wearing scarlet with a dash of green, and he's holding whatever symbol in his hand. And the more you can visualize this stuff, the more powerful it becomes. Get really detailed about it. You all can do this. I think Deepak Chopra talks about this, If I pray for rain, I can say, gosh, we need rain. Or you could do like, the Native Americans did. Magic's been practiced since the caveman eras, right?
Right.
You can visualize the rain. You can smell it. You can visualize your feet on the wet ground. You can go there in your mind. And they would do this. And then, if they believed, if they had enough faith, right? Faith, like Christ talks about, it would become so. That's what it's all about. So it's all about awareness. That's it. It's all about awareness. So that we've developed systems. The Golden Dawn developed a system. Wicca developed a system. But I wanted to get into demons and angels because there's a lot of questions talking about that. There's a book by Bill Whitcomb called The Magician's Companion. And what you learn in that book is it's got every single magical system you can think of in this book.
Good Lord.
I'm serious. Every correspondence, everything you can think of. And what you learn is, yes, angels are polar to demons, right? But here's the thing. At the top, there's sets of angels that command lower angels, that command even lower angels, and then they command intelligences, or what's called intelligences, right? And then they command demons. So it's this, even a demon has to answer to an archangel, a specific archangel. It's almost like the military, and these spirits exist in these realms. Now, can I explain what and who they are? Are they aliens? Are they this? I can't do that. I don't know. But what I do know is from what I've read that they work. Like Casey talks about this. He talks about archangels, right? Michael.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah. Archangels, as far as I know of Casey, he had said that they're the one being archangels who don't have free will. They're quite okay with that. In fact, the only one who wasn't okay with that was Satan, and he was the one who fell. But as far as the rest of the other angels, they pretty much. They're right there in league with the seraphim and the cherubim, who are a lot more powerful than they seem to be. I mean, it was written that, they were able to only one angel did it take to wipe out 250,000 men.
I think everybody kind of knows deep down at some level the angels are real. I don't know I don't know what they are. I really don't. I mean, like I said, I don't know if they're stars, if they're just symbols in the astral realm, but I know they're powerful.
It's questionable if you would even really sincerely want to conjure one, because their presence is supposed to be enough to knock you to your knees.
You remember how I used to get Leo to come home, right? Here's a little magic trick I used to do.
Oh, I don't know.
My cat would go missing. The cat, everybody knows I did shows, but the cat would leave and go missing, and I'd freak out all the time. And Ramon got on the show and actually reminded me, well, why don't you ask Ariel, some people call it Uriel, which is the Archangel of Earth, right? If you can get the cat to come home. So I would stack the deck, right? I'd go outside and I'd get by a tree and I'd face the direction of Uriel and I'd ask Uriel or Ariel, hey, because it's nature, can you bring Leo home? And because I grew up Christian, I would say, in the name of Yeshua, I pray this, right? Like,
sure.
That's what I would do. And I'll be damned if it didn't work every single time. I mean, one time I turned my back and walked into the studio and I heard him, well, gone for 3 days. There he is. Right? Well, after a while, you start to think, man, this is really real. Like, we don't know our own power. And therefore, we don't know, if we don't know our own power, once you start realizing this, we don't know what's being used against us this way. We think we do.
Exactly.
But I don't think we do. We've got people calling it archons. We've got people calling them ETs.
Exactly. But there is a war going on. That is absolutely for certain. And the one thing that we have to go against them is our own free will and our own thoughts, emotional stability and the whole 9 yards, and faith, man, and faith. And so, we can go into a lot more, but we got to go take a break.
Yeah, shoot. But anyways, I would bring these guests on and talk. You guys caught me doing this, talking to Daniel Joseph, Jeff Harmon. I would bring this up because I wanted to know if it was okay to do these things, right? Because I always had this thing in the back of my mind. Ooh, I'm practicing magic. It could be evil. And so if you paid attention to the show, you would see that I was asking them, do you do these things? Is it okay to do these things? And these people would say, sure, it's fine. We didn't get to talk about demons much. I guess we can do that when we come back.
We can.
Definitely
Summoning demons right after these messages.
We're going to summon demons when we come back. Hope y'all are ready.
Listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
This is Rev Dan Lopez from Spiritual Warrior Today Radio, and you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
Ahoy there, Gigi here.
And I'm Cortana, and we're here to take you on a journey through all things paranormal, metaphysical, ufology, and even psychedelic on our show,
Shift Happens, live every Friday night from 7 to 9 Pacific. That's 9 to 11 Central, right here on The Fringe FM.
And remember, don't feed the Archons, feed ducks instead.
Duck up.
Occult Arcana is a balanced and objective guide to those subjects considered a part of the nature of light and darkness. Addressed in this text is a compilation of material that will provide new perspectives and awaken latent abilities that we all possess. The content herein shall provide magical sustenance for adept and novice alike, and will help strengthen the cornerstone of mystic understanding and alchemical transmutation. If you are interested in this modern grimoire, you can find detailed information and ways to order by visiting www.thesecretteachings.info. Although esoteric and occult studies remain vast, they are rooted within a universal philosophy that is difficult, if not impossible by finite terms, to explain in words. Language places restriction and erects barriers to understandings. By this it is to be understood that there are some things man should consider far too sacred to profane with definition. For these concepts and the manner by which we live our lives, we shall take a note from the Greek philosopher Pythagoras. Quote, "Silence is better than unmeaning words." End quote. To get your autographed copy of Occult Arcana today, simply visit www.thesecretteachings.info or email The Secret Teachings at rdgable@yahoo.com.
Follow The Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at The Fringe FM.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Hey folks, folks, guess what the number one phrase that Life Change Tea receives by email? You ready? We love this tea. We love this tea. Time after time, week after week, we love this tea. Life Change Tea gives you more energy, a beautiful cleansing, and fulfills its slogan perfectly. The tea that makes you go. So if you want to be on your health game, log on to getthetea.com and order Life Change Super Strength Tea. Packages come in a 1-month supply, and when you brew this stuff, wait until you see the results. Aren't we all about the results? And with a lot of people's health struggling, we can use a little bit of help. Doctors will tell you disease starts in the gut. So log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Be our next email saying, I love this tea. I love this tea. Get the tea at getthetea.com. Helping America one tea bag at a time.
We're gonna have to switch this up. This blues guitar is really starting to serenade me, I guess. I feel like I'm being romanced into something. I don't know. He's just good. Bundy. That's Bundy. This is Lighting the Void. I'm Joe Rooper here with the Reverend Dan Lopez. Tonight we are talking about Magick live on the Fringe FM. It's a beautiful guitar. And see how it faded out? It didn't upcut me that time. That was beautiful. So we were going to talk about demons before we came back. I said we were going to evoke demons, but we're not. No, I'm not going to do that. But the most damn it. But the traditional thing that people started doing was what's called like grimoires, right? And the most famous one is the Solomonic grimoires, the Greater Key of Solomon, the Lesser Key of Solomon. There's 3 books in the Greater Key of Solomon, 2 in the Lesser.
Now, where did those come from?
Well, that's a pretty good question. A lot of people think that they were written by Solomon himself, that came from the Bible, but it really happened back during the Renaissance age, right? So a lot of these writers that wrote this stuff, to be honest with you, I don't know who actually authored them, and I don't think people really do. They say they do, but I don't think they know. Just
right.
Like the Zohar. People say they know who wrote that, but I'm not so sure they do. But they used the names of demons that were in the Bible to kind of deal with them, right? So they would evoke a demon and either make a pact with it or deal with it. Now, Nineveh Shadrach came on the show and said that everybody's, trying to, evoke demons to do their bidding in Magick, but the real traditional teachings weren't to evoke them. It was to deal with them and bind them in a brass vessel. Then they would do your bidding. In other words, you had to deal with each one of these bastards. I don't really think this is something you should jump out and try to do. I don't think that you really have to do this. That's just my opinion. However,
now, is part of the deal releasing them?
I don't think it. No.
I was going to say.
No, but just like Gordon White said, if you think that these things are all in your head, and so I've got one magician, Lon Milo Duquette, who came on this program and said, look, these demons are just really bad aspects of yourself, but what you need to understand is how big your head is. So that's the Hermetic idea that all is mind, all is consciousness, which we've talked to scientists about that on this program, right? Then I've got another magician, Gordon White, telling me, well, he got that idea from Aleister Crowley, and these things are actually what they say they are, and anybody that's ever evoked one, you'll know that it's real, right? And I'm not telling you to go out and do this, but what I think is maybe they're both telling the truth. Maybe all the universe is mind. It's all one thing, right? And these demons are aspects of the great mind, which is really an aspect of you. But if you look at it relatively, are you really ready to deal with these types of powerful things, even though you are an individual spark of consciousness? All right? So they're another, I guess, a bad part of consciousness. But they're a lot more powerful than you think. Are you ready to deal with it? I don't know if that makes sense, but I kind of think they're both telling the truth. Now, these two magicians I'm talking about, if you can't tell, know way more about magic than me. So when I get conflicting ideas from two really good magicians, that tells me maybe I should put the book down. Like, don't go doing this stuff. There are other people out there that will tell you that, no, it's not dangerous. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah. Look, this is the way I see it also. There's you can go about doing all of that, but you're going to do something without the practice of being in control of yourself. Now, if you go and you make promises or deals with something that you can't even control your own self, then something is not right in Denmark. Because I've had my own grandparent went ahead and made deals through Santeria with the saints. Now, they came through and took care of everything that needed to be taken care of with the house, and everything was like squared away within 6 months. New roof, new driveway, freaking landscaping, no fencing, everything. The power was freaking set up and everything, storm windows and all of that stuff. And, all she had to do was like 6 months of, saying thank you and prayers and stuff like that to the saints. And so what happened was she didn't follow through. That's not being in charge of your own will. That's not being in your own power. That gave them all they needed, and within one storm, everything was torn up. All that work that had been done, and we're talking thousands of dollars, had been torn up with one storm because she didn't follow through. And so you want to talk about messing around with things that you got to be able to control your own will, man. I mean, seriously, a lot of people think, oh, yeah, I can control my own will. But there they are, freaking smoking, vaping, doing whatever the hell they got to do because they can't stop.
Yeah, because you're messing with energies that have control over you.
And they have control.
Yeah.
They have control over themselves, which is something which is something many of us lack.
So that's why, when I talk about this, people get mad. They're like, "Oh, you're talking about high magic, ceremonial magic." They think they're better than everybody. They're imperialists and stuff like that. Well, I don't really know that they think that they're better than everybody. I think that maybe that they realized there was something innately wrong with their psyche, and they had to deal with it. But I don't necessarily agree that it's all in your head either. Israel Regardie says that, magic is not psychism. It has no relation to witchcraft. It does not lead to mediumship. It is based on the magic of philosophy and magical philosophy. Mm-hmm. Right? So there was a deeper mystery to all of this that goes all the way back to the old mystery schools that I personally believe Jesus talked about in the Bible when he was telling his disciples, it's given unto you to understand the mystery, but to them, they're never going to understand it. And that whole story of they knew they were going to become, like he knew he was going to become a martyr, so misunderstood that he became a martyr, and it wasn't until after he was dead that people actually loved him. And a lot of the same things happened to John and the disciples because it's so misunderstood. So I don't want to get into the solipsism thing because that's what happens to people that start practicing ceremonial magic. They get what's called megalomania, which is why the Rosicrucians and the Golden Dawn said, look, if you're going to do this, you need to see a therapist. Because this is what I believe happened to Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley wrote awesome books. There's a lot of revealing stuff in there, man. Like, especially when it comes to male and female energy. Like, he just basically put that out there. Did he practice it right? I don't know. I think, and I'm going to say the word sex magic, which scares a lot of people, but I think that relates to Tantra, and I really think that when you practice that stuff, as powerful as it is, I really think you should do it with somebody that you love and at the very least care about. I don't think it should be orgies or just what he called them concubines, right?
Yeah.
And
it's an ancient practice, even going back as far as Egypt. Edgar Casey did a thing on that where he was saying that one of the Pharaoh's sons was involved in this practice where it was using the concubines to bring him to, but not will bring him to climax, but not to spill his seed. It was that's right, because the seed was made sacred. So he was to bring himself to that point, and to that point would bring the higher consciousness, but not to exceed that point.
Yeah, so that was one of the highest secrets that was actually in the Golden Dawn, in the Renaissance magical systems. And Crowley just came out, and a lot of people think he created the OTO, but he didn't. He actually joined the OTO. And they thought that Crowley stole their secrets because he already knew. He already figured it out. Then they came to realize, no, he knows about it already. And they accepted him.
Surprise.
Right. And they accepted him into the OTO. And it wasn't until he went to Egypt and invoked, or I guess through his girlfriend, they invoked Iwas, or where the Book of the Law came from, where his new Aeon was to come about. And then, you're supposed to worship new wheat, and that's this whole new system. And then that's how Thelema came about, where they say love is the law, which is beautiful, right? But the part that gets me is where they say love under will. Now, yes, practice in magic is to train the will to understand how powerful your will is and to manifest things through your will. But I always had a problem with that, Dan. Should it be love under will?
One of the things that we were taught while I was getting clean was to surrender your will. Surrender your will to God, because you don't know how to use it. So basically, you turned your will and your life over to the care of God as you understood Him, until you understood how to manage it yourself. So with that being said, you got to remember that Edgar Casey was also saying that your will is God's will. So what you want to do is you want to align your will with God's will. That's why they say thy will be done.
Yeah, which is really
it is the same principle where you're saying you're giving your will, you're taking God's will onto you so that His will may work through you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of people that would, a lot of healers and everything like that, they'll say, it's not me. It's not me doing any of this. It's the power. It's my higher power coming through me.
So you've seen that show Strange Angel, right? Where they're showing the Parsons story.
No, I want to watch that. That's on Netflix?
No. It's on CBS. CBS All Access Pass. So it's the first time they ever had a TV show where they kind of showed you the system of Thelema and the Gnostic Mass and stuff, right? And so what these people are trying to do is understand their true will through magic rituals, right? That's what they're trying to do. What does my soul want to do? Because that's what God wants to do. Like, why am I here? And then they did all these different forms and rituals and everything because this was everything. The will was everything, and it is everything to a Thelemite. And you know what? I don't totally disagree with that, because love is the law to them too, right? But love under will. So that's where I'm like, okay, I'm struggling with this a little bit, because I think love is the law, and that's where it stops. That's where it stops for me.
So what does love under will mean to you?
To me, I mean, it means what it sounds like,
What does it mean?
The will is more important. Now, if they're right about that, then that would explain a lot of the bad things that happen on this earth that we can't explain. Like, why does this happen? If there's a God, why does this happen? Why did this evil happen? Because maybe there's some type of will that's going on that doesn't put love above it. Puts love right underneath it. But I just can't get past that. I don't know why. Like, to me, love is everything. And you learn that in magic, that love is
everything. When you become one with your holy guardian angel, which is Tifereth, the sixth sphere on the tree of life, Christ consciousness, the upper room that you're supposed to meet Christ in, right? Zera Ampen, you come to that point of consciousness. You're filled with nothing but love. But according to some of these systems, the will is still there waiting on you, still knocking, going, hey, I'm glad you've realized who you are and you're full of love and everything, and you're near a magician now, and you're also a king, which if you think about the tarot card, you've got to be the king and the magician, right?
Or the god.
You got this will knocking on the door up here. That what are you here to do? And so Thelemites, not only would they...
What are Thelemites?
Thelemites, people that's the religion of Crowley, Thelema.
Okay. I didn't know.
So they would... not only would they focus on this, and they would help each other, they would help others in their lodge or whatever come to know this about themselves. And I think it's kind of beautiful. But what scares me is the names like Iwas and Nuit, all these names that they're using that some would say are just symbols, right? Well, these are just symbols and aspects of the greater God. So we call Nuit the great mother in the sky, the night sky, which is all the stars, because that's what they called them back in Egypt, and that's what we understand. But I guess my Christian upbringing or my scared self tells me, well, when you use a specific name, that could be dangerous, right? Could it?
Well, and in Christian mysticism, they say if you know the name, that you can control it.
Yeah, so Eric Markham, good to see you, brother, in the chat says, love is subordinate to will in Thelema.
See, love the enemy as yourself. I got a problem with that. You can love your enemy, but you don't have to like them. That's how I feel. You know what I mean? It's okay to love everybody, but you have to. It's not like I'm going to sit there and be okay with somebody who's doing something wrong. Like if you have a family member and somebody does something wrong to your family member, you tell me how much you're going to love that person.
Right. So I just wanted to brush up one more thing and I'll let it go because it's such a huge subject. The Kabbalah is the software behind Western ceremonial magic for the most part. There's some good books you can pick up. The Mystical Kabbalah by Dion Fortune, The Tree of Life by Israel Regardi, The Chicken Kabbalah by Lon Milo Duquette. And you can see how magicians use this to advance into their higher selves. To, once they got up in higher grades of magic, they would evoke and actually invoke the Sephiroth.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do. They'll they started to use these energies for their advantage or to come together with their higher self. Theurgy is something I haven't done. It kind of scares me a little bit too. I'm just being honest with you guys. I'm not against it. It just scares me a little bit. To invoke a god into your being and become. Now, when you do theurgy, say you do a ritual and you invoke Thoth. In theurgy, it's like you're not just invoking that god to come inside you and help you out. You become that god. You visualize that you are that god. And I've even heard magicians explain that it's not a visualization anymore. They really become that person. This was practiced in ancient Egypt, Samaria, things like that, from a higher understanding that they were just aspects of the one greater God. Does that scare anybody besides me just a little bit? When I say scared, I don't mean like run from it. I mean, it's a natural fear.
No, that's why I've kept a healthy respect for mediumship. Because that part, well, I saw The Exorcist when I was 9, so I was like, I know what that shit's like. And then hearing about that thing later on, where my grandfather had been attacked by a fellow spiritualist who had wanted to have my grandfather taken out. So he called upon a demon to go after him, and the demon wound up going into the spirit that was going after my grandfather and wound up possessing him. And the guy wound up naked up on top of we're talking about a 6'5" guy. He was crouched underneath the ceiling, between the ceiling and his refrigerator, spitting and cursing and all kinds of butt ass naked.
Really?
And the guy's wife had to call my grandfather to come over and expel the demon from this guy, because no one else was coming to help him.
That's intense, bro. But see, this is why I'm saying, like, if you're not ready to deal with this stuff, don't do it. You know what Joseph K says. This is like, look, I don't toss the Lima to the side. Like, I say, like he says, love under will, right? He said eventually becomes. He says love under will eventually becomes meaningless when will and love are understood to be the same thing. That sounds beautiful. But what about the God names? You see what I mean? What about the worship in new wheat? If you read the book of the law, it talks about this. I'm a crow that pecks out the eyes of Jesus, and it's intense. Not only the guy that created the religion was a heroin addict of the worst kind. No offense to anybody that's addicted to opiates out there, because I know a lot of you are. You're victims to it, and you need to get out of it. You need to fight it. So I don't hold that against Crowley as much as some people would, but he had a thing against religion, and that came from his childhood that I think came out in the book of the law. Like, why didn't they just say, well, Christianity it's time to evolve past Christianity? And actually, if you read in Hebrews, there's a book in the Bible called Hebrews. There's a verse in there that actually describes evolving past Christianity in the Bible. But this book talks about pecking the eyes out of Jesus, and it's supposed to be symbolic of how weak the system really is, right? So there's parts of that book that are beautiful, and then there's parts where you're like, what in the heck is this, And I think Crowley did that on purpose. I think that he tried to scare people on purpose, because if you couldn't handle the fear, then you weren't meant to do it to begin with. And in any initiation ritual that you ever go through, that's the first thing you learn, that fear is your enemy.
Right.
That it is here to bind you and make you suffer. And it is weakness. Does that mean stand in front of a bear if it's charging you because you're not afraid? I don't think so. But I people like to nitpick, right? Well, what if, I'm not afraid to jump off a bridge, right? That's not what I mean. Like, the type of fear that you let run your life that keeps you from exploring certain things. And so I really think Crowley's system was beautiful. I think it's great. But there are things about it that kind of make me nervous. And I think that's okay.
There's nothing wrong with having a healthy fear. That's like being an electrician. Once you get hit a couple of times from the freaking couple of bolts of electricity, you wind up having a healthy respect for it. It's not even a matter of fear. It's just, you know what is capable. What it's capable of.
I can't believe everybody right now should know that Joe Roop is not an adept. Okay? So, like, there's people out there that are actually, I've seen some messages on social media, beware of people that are acting like adepts when they really aren't, and I know who they're talking about. I've never said I was an adept. I only explore these things. I'm an explorer of consciousness and truth. That's it. I don't hold myself as an authoritative position in anything, even though all of my colleagues that are supposedly successful or are going to be super successful in radio and podcasting say you have to become an authoritative figure in whatever aspect or whatever niche you're talking about. I don't believe that. I believe in authenticity. Being authentic, like Thomas Campbell says. You go around and you ask people, how are you doing today? Well, I'm fine. Well, you really don't care. It's not authentic. It's not who you are. Did you catch him when he said that?
No.
You know, so...
No, I didn't.
I hold scientists in high regard, too.
I didn't catch the comment either out there, so...
Yeah, so there are, I think, there are adepts out there that... this bothers me, too, because some of them are just, they're all about politics and stuff right now. Like David Griffin is a friend of mine. I consider him an adept, but he's got such an energy about him. You know, when I've told the story about me hopping on a plane and going to Las Vegas all by myself, heading out to Pahrump, it wasn't to go see Art Bell. David Griffin was the first Golden Dawn order I ever found that actually had lodges. Yeah, you know, the Alpha.
I might ask you a stupid question. Was there a Taco Bell everywhere?
Oh God, yes.
That's where I worked.
in Las Vegas or Pahrump?
In Pahrump.
Oh yeah.
In Pahrump. I had a side job. I had an evening job in Pahrump.
I loved it.
I was working as an electrician in Vegas, and I was also working at Taco Bell.
I loved it out there, by the way, man. People
it was
like,
okay. It was
There's nothing. Oh man, it was great.
I called it the land that God forgot because
never seen a night sky like that before. I got addicted to it, and
that's the big sky.
I actually had a premonition, like a a prophetic dream about it. I dreamed I was riding around in a white car a month or so before. I've got this in my journal.
You didn't see the black wall, did you?
Desert roads, trying to figure out where to stay because I couldn't find a place to stay, right? And that happened. I had a white rental car, drove around Pahrump, and all the hotels were booked, and I was trying to find a place to stay. And as soon as I saw it, the deja vu kicked in, and I went and I grabbed my dream journal and flipped through it. There it is. That's why you dream journal. That's one reason.
Cool.
Anyway.
That's cool. I had a reoccurring dream when I was out there. I kept seeing a wall of black. I was like, holy smoke. What the hell? Not too long after that, my friend got picked up and he started working for the PP&E or PP&G. You know who they are? They're PP&G, I think it was. But they're the people who are over there at Groom Lake.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, he was a badass. He was. Whew.
You know, when I was out there, I had no idea that Art Bell even lived out there. Didn't have a clue.
Me neither.
But I did see the chicken ranch, though. That was a fine place, let me tell you.
I didn't go in there, but I seen it.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. I guess we'll continue our discussion of Magick. The phone lines are open, 1-800-588-0335. If you want to chime in, I still got a book to give away.
You got to chime in about the chicken ranch.
Yeah, we got an hour left. We'll be right back.
Is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTOK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
How you doing today, guys? This is Garrett Lee.
And this is Randy Warner.
From the Healers and Hellraisers podcast.
A podcast about people.
You're going to hear stories from the enlightening to the frightening.
Told by those who lived it.
Listen right here on The Fringe FM.
Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And on The Fringe Free-For-All, right here on The Fringe FM. Follow The Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at The Fringe FM. The Fringe FM loves hearing from you. Have a suggestion, comment, or question? We're all ears. Email talkback@thefringe.fm.
noticed there's something fundamentally wrong with that brake. I didn't even get time to take a leak. Oh, yeah, if you're just tuning in, this is Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Rupert, live on the Fringe FM. Live on KTLK Digital Broadcasting, which is a fantastic network. Yeah, something's fundamentally wrong here. We're already supposed to go into the next break.
We hope you took us to the bathroom with you.
So here's the thing too, like Mercury. I was talking earlier about planets and energies and stuff. Well, Mercury, like if let's say, I want everything to go smooth with technology and communication. Well, then you would use Mercury, the planet Mercury, Raphael, all that stuff, right? Those are the things. That's how you stack the deck magically. In the hour of Mercury, so to speak. And so magicians, they write their sigils during these times too. Right. Now, how they charge these magical sigils, which are little bitty magical looking witchy sigils they make, I won't go into. You can look that up for yourself. I use trance and meditation. Some of these people use orgasms. They go back to sexual magic, and they use the orgasm to charge their stuff. And
organisms?
Orgasms, not organisms. And it's, I don't know if it's, to me, like, I'm not going to judge that. Like, it doesn't feel right. To me, like, if you're doing something right, when you get done with it, you should feel proud, like, or good. Or you should have a good feeling when you get doing something good or good for yourself. If anybody tries that when it's over, do you feel like, man, I feel great. I'm glad I did that. Whew, that was awesome, right? Do you feel that way when you get done doing that? Because if you don't, I don't really know if you should be doing it.
I have a Cherokee friend. We went out to Jersey. She come out from the West Coast, and she was doing something. She had her little mojo bag and stuff like that, and she needed those things for the sugar that you poke yourself with, lancets, I think they were called, because she needed blood. So she needed blood. So we went out, and she had to do something with the ocean. So we went out there to the Jersey Shore, and she was doing her practice all the way there. And when we got there, she was done doing it. When we got to the beach and everything, we went out into the water. And when she got out to the water, when she was done, she let out this hellacious freaking scream that you would have thought that she was flipping the flip out. But it was actually her in her excitement in releasing what the practice that she was doing.
Wow.
Where you were saying that, would you feel good at the end of it? Well, that was her way of getting the complete emotional engagement where she was all in, brother. She was all in. And I was surprised. I was shocked and taken aback. I was like, really?
I bet.
I was like, that's pretty crazy, but okay.
So
I get it.
So I went out to Pahrump, right? This is where we left off. I went out to Pahrump and I met with David. This was one of the first magicians I ever talked to, and his wife, Leslie McQuaid. They've been on the show.
Cool.
And I was just curious, because I heard Frater Xavier on his YouTube channel. By the way, if you can just skip this whole show and have somebody talk to you about it for real, if you go to Frater Xavier's Mind and Magic YouTube channel, he has a little playlist called Mystery School. It starts you right at the beginning. Do that.
Frater is something else. Yeah, he's a good resource.
Do that, I mean, he knows how to teach it. Plus, he gets to edit it. He don't do it live. But anyways, so I went out there and I talked to these people, and I met a lot of people. For the first time in my life, I met people of different religion, not Christians. Like I met Thelemites, people that were already in the OTO. I met Wiccans, people that were members of certain. What do you call them? The witches, what do you call that?
Covens?
Covens, there you go. I met people of certain covens. I met all of these people, and I can't, if I tell you that I felt weird. I'm telling you the truth, because at first I was like, this is weird, right? Because I'm from Arkansas. I'm used to being around nothing but just Southern Christian people. And
it's a different energy. It's a different element.
Yeah, it felt so wild. And so what I did, Leslie McQuaid, and she's in the Golden Dawn order. She's also a Wiccan and a shaman, right? And she's so nice. And so naturally I go towards the female energy to try to feel better. Pull her to the side, and I'm like, listen, I hopped on a plane by myself and came out here, which was kind of scary to begin with. I don't know any of these people, but I'm so intrigued by this. Help me understand this, right? And so she kind of set me down and explained to me this energy called Lux, or what they call LVX, which is pretty much divine light, right? And had me go into this, and I won't get too detailed about it because I don't know if I'm supposed to, but had me go into this visualization and breathing exercise and started asking me, do you see that? Do you feel it? Tell me what you see. And she would tell me what I was seeing, like this light starting to come in, which at first I thought I was just getting dizzy, right? Like I'm getting dizzy, And then, but she said, you're not going to be able to handle it at first. You're going to feel like you're going to pass out. And I was like, okay, what is that? She said, well, that's Luke's energy. It's in everything. It's all around you. And I said, really? For 2 or 3 hours after, this is not oxygen asphyxiation. She didn't have me go out there and just take deep breaths, if anybody's wondering, right? But this was something different. Like for the first time in my life, I had energy and I had no idea where it came from. And it lasted for hours after that. I felt great. I felt good. So I went around.
Dropped your ego.
Yeah, my ego was like, I totally dropped. For real. And I started going around and talking to all these people. Hey, why did you become a Wiccan? Well, my mother was a witch, and we practiced this and that, and it's almost like they had to go to this place out in the desert to be themselves, because they tried in society, but it really didn't work.
That's why I'm out here. Yeah, I totally get it.
And now, after reading, I went home, I grabbed Israel Regardie's books, as many as I could. I just went all out. Now, at that time, I'm sure there were magicians way more advanced. There's some people that don't even necessarily agree or like David Griffin, but to me, he was like this big kid. He's got this childlike energy, and he had all kinds of knowledge. Like there wasn't a question I could ask him about magic or the system that he didn't know. And he wrote the book, The Ritual Magic Manual. He believes, because when the Golden Dawn disbanded, they didn't finish the system, which was, like a Rosicrucian system. They didn't finish it. He believes he finished it. Other magicians have attested to the book. The book is selling for like over $1,000, the physical copy online right now. But this is what intrigued me. And so I started learning about low magic too. Well, I never thought I would do that. Well, what about just candle burning rituals? And I'll tell you, I got a book right here. Right here. It's a book I picked up, and this is when my whole world changed. And it's called Practical Candle Burning Rituals by Raymond Buckland. Right? Some of you may have this book. And it tells you how to set up an altar and where to put the candles and what color candles represent what. And I noticed in the back of the book that it has an entire, it's at the front. No, it's in the front. The entire book has the Christian method. And I was like, wait a minute, what is this? I thought I was just going to pick up a book full of just Wiccan witchy stuff, right? Half of this book is setting up the altar and doing a psalm prayer, and the other half is what they call the ancient religion, which is pagan. Right? Yep. And I was thinking, holy hell.
Yep.
And that's when it hit me. Right?
Where do you think it came from?
That's when it hit me. Then I picked up the Gnostic Bible, and I was like, there's a whole nother form of Christianity I wasn't even aware of.
Sure. Mysticism.
got into the history of it and saw how the church kind of did their thing with Christianity. And I was like, well, what was Jesus talking about then, about the mystery? Why are the Rosicrucians calling him the master? What about all this stuff talking about the lion, the man, the ox, and the eagle? That's in their magical books. Why is this in Revelations? What the hell does this got to do with anything? And so that sparked my journey down that road. So I'm not I wouldn't call myself, if people have called me a magician, but in my mind, I'm not a magician yet. I'm a student of it. I'm trying to understand it.
Well, that's why you met David, because it was that time for you to meet that, for that aspect to open up, to take you to the next level. Because, that's one of the things that Casey was saying. Once you're on this journey, if you're a seeker and you remain a seeker, then more will be revealed. But it's not going to be revealed before your time.
Yeah, and so, and just like the paranormal field, which I'm going to get into that, by the way. Why, if you're so into this, why are you talking about aliens and paranormal stuff? Well, or conspiracies. I think it all ties together, folks.
I don't see how it can't.
When I got home, I started digging, and I just told you about the stuff I found in the Bible about it. I started noticing these things happening to people.
Like what?
Like what we talked about in the first hour, how people were extremely polarized. Like, and instantly became aware of the 7 Hermetic principles and how they were being used against the public. The public is not the cause. Well, they are the cause of some of the effects, but almost like they're the victims of these principles instead of being aware of the causes. But yet a marketing company or an advertising company or a bank or a big bank, they knew how to cause a ripple effect. How to divide people.
Right. It works.
The whole Chick-fil-A thing was an example that Frederick Xavier used. Like, maybe he didn't know he was doing it, but you remember that when Chick-fil-A did their whole thing about they stood up against homosexuality because it was wrong. First off, that's just weird to me, right? Like, why would any restaurant owners just come out and do that to begin with?
I don't know.
It started the divide. These people banned Chick-fil-A. These people were standing up for Chick-fil-A. The fact of the matter is that Chick-fil-A made a lot of money that weekend. And I was like, okay. So I got to thinking, is this black magic? Is this sorcery? What do the politicians know? How come even a lot of our politicians today, like Jeff Harmon said, they have personal astrologers? What the hell is the Vatican hiding?
Sure. Jean Dixon was one of the most powerful women in Washington.
Why did when Crowley started getting into all of these deep rituals and invocations, he ran into a being that called himself the Lamb that kind of looks like a gray alien? He drew it out.
Dude, did you see
what the hell's going on here?
Yeah. Do you remember who was it? Steiner had come up with the presence called Amaran or some Arman?
Aman, yeah.
Arman.
Yeah, something like that.
So I was going to ask you, if you took a look at it and you kind of blurred your eyes, he kind of looked like Lamb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what freaking, I was like, what? I was like, that's not right.
There's a guy on YouTube, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, called The Dark Journalist, who really goes deep into this whole thing that you just talked about, like detail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh yeah.
So I don't know much about it, but I know that guy is doing, as far as I'm concerned, real journalism in this field. Like he's trying to figure out what's going on. And so this is why you always hear me hesitate when I talk to magicians and magic. Not only am I a student of it, but I also am very, very careful about how I go about it because, number one, I'm not so sure I understand where everything came from yet. And I'm not so sure the effects of everything involved. Okay? But I do know that I've become more of an aware individual as far as me and my surroundings. I've come to understand love and nature and all of these things more and better in my life. And I'm grateful to these teachings. Or grateful for these teachings, I guess. But I don't know if it makes for good radio. Like right now, I should,
Oh, I don't know.
Think about it. If I talked about conspiracy all night, that's conspiracy is the thing to talk about.
Doesn't matter. What matters is what you're passionate about. What matters is what you find, what brings the authenticity out of you. The things that you're concerned about. A lot of other people are concerned about it. A lot of other people are. And a lot of people are, they want to. I think one of the most important things for people today is to become open-minded. You know what I mean? Because one of the biggest things that is working against all of us is this war on being open-minded, on this war on questioning authority, this war on questioning the truth, on this war on questioning love. Love is at war.
Think so?
It is literally at war. I certainly believe so. Because of the campaign that they have against it. There's been a campaign against love for since the 60s, hardcore. When the peace and love movement was going on, all of a sudden there was Kent State. Tell me that's not freaking war against love. All we wanted to do is bring our boys home.
Another thing that Ryan Gable made me aware of, too, because before Ryan Gable came on to the Fringe FM, we would get together and talk about the occult, and he wrote about it extensively. And he said, well, you need to look at some of these events when these things happen. Can you tell me what planetary alignment this is and what time of year it is when some of these things happen,
Sure.
And he said, yeah, you're talking about this symbol on this cup, and it's on this corporate logo. And that really got me thinking. And he started showing me all of the rituals and rites and the Super Bowls and stuff. And I was like, okay, is there a magical war going on for real? I mean, I'm not talking about like a conspiracy and something that teases our brain. Is it really going on? And then I picked up Ezra Rigardi's book about the astral realm, and we get on this program and we talk about flying around in the astral realm and going out of our bodies and all of this stuff. And yet he says that the astral realm is no playground, that it's meant to do the work, to become aware, almost like you're inside this gigantic consciousness trap in this. It's hard to explain. What's those little Russian dolls that you open up and it's another one and another one and another one?
Yeah. The nested
your consciousness is buried inside this thing. And in order for you to really wake up, you've got to do this work. And when you go into the inner realms or the astral realms, that's when the real work begins.
Supposedly, because that's where you're supposed to meet all your aspects.
And that's what intrigued me, because then I picked up a book that I know Eric has. It's called What the Wisdom Expects from Its Disciples by Manly P. Hall, and he talks about, well, all of these lodges and Masonic lodges, Rosicrucian lodges, whatever they are still just exoteric lodges. If you've actually been initiated into the mysteries, it's actually in the inner realms, and only you know. If you question yourself, was that an initiation that I went through? Then it wasn't. You'll know. Right? So I'm thinking all of the stuff I went through, all of these magicians I talked to, all of these orders, this is still just exoteric. What's really going on in these realms? And this was a question that Robert Monroe asked, and he wasn't involved with magic at all. Matter of fact, he tried to make sure that his work wasn't associated with the occult, but he did ask that same question towards the end. If I can do this, who else is doing it? Who else is controlling us? Or I don't think he said it that way. Who else knows about this? And if they are they manipulating us? right? Then there's I noticed another book, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and one tablet he talks about these beings that are moving around in our dreams and manipulating us, and we're the ones calling them for below, unaware that we're even doing it. And so sometimes I listen to these conspiracy shows like Ryan Gable or Clyde Lewis, and they talk about there's something there they know is there too. It's like innate. I know there's something there, but we don't know what it is. And what I'm saying is it could be archons, it could be demons, it could be, but it could just be us, Dan.
Partially, because like I said, it all depends on what you're taking in. It all depends on your environment. It all depends on what you're eating. It all depends on your practices. It all depends on how well you're controlling your thoughts, your beliefs, your ego, your behavior, your emotions. All of that stuff is taken into account. Your relationships with others, Are you at peace with your thoughts? Are you at peace with your emotions? Are you okay with everything around you? Keep the focus on yourself. Don't be so worried about what everybody else is freaking out about. Pay attention to what you're doing.
Like right now, I'm staring at this little Debbie.
You better eat that bitch.
Should I eat it? I know I shouldn't.
I got a whole box of Hostess cupcakes, man. I don't care.
I'm weak for little Debbie. There's probably corporate logos on this thing somewhere. Probably some type of sigil I'm unaware of.
It tastes good.
But that doesn't mean, what I'm saying is this is Swiss rolls too. I got to wait at least another 30 minutes. You see? I'm no master magician or anybody special. I've got problems just like everybody else, right? So
there's something to be said about somebody who knows themselves. So if you know you're weak, if you know you're fallible and everything like that, that doesn't make you weak at heart. That doesn't make you weak in the mind. If you understand yourself and you understand your fallibilities and you understand your defects of character, that makes you a step above those who don't even care about such things.
I feel like I don't
mean it in an ego sense where you're better. You're better than someone. No, not at all. I don't mean that in that manner at all. I mean that in regards to being in control of yourself, in regards to being in control of your own mind, in regards to being unmoved by that which everybody else is being moved. You have more self-sense, self-awareness than somebody who just goes about not questioning themselves.
Well, I appreciate
not policing themselves. But it takes a lot. Not everybody does that. And there's something else too. People who come out of having a problem, whether it be chemical, emotional, or whatever, dysfunctions or whatever, and they worked on themselves, same thing. Same thing.
Yeah, I think
you go into therapy or whatever, you're doing what you should be doing. And that's for you, all of us, that's a great work.
Yeah. So when this is why, I just toy with the entertainment of Alex Jones and politics, and people are like, oh, Corey Good and David Wilcock and the Secret Space Program and this stuff. Look, I think there's something bigger going on that matters more, is what I'm saying. So if I post something about Alex Jones and laugh at some of the antics he does, it's fun to me. But what I'm really worried about is I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about these things that either we're not waking up. And when I say not the woke movement or whatever, it's something different. There's something else going on. And I don't know that it's archons. I don't know that it's us, because after talking to Thomas Campbell and all these people that look at this larger consciousness system that we're a part of, we want to point our fingers at the devil and Lucifer and Satan and all these things that God said he created anyways. And the text that you read, these are really just aspects of ourselves that I think we might be calling up from below and letting run our lives. I think there's some type of system that's designed to keep us way down deep inside this thing that doesn't want you to know who you really are and where you come from and what you're capable of. So this other system can play its game on you, and then you become trapped in your own little stupid game, like a false awakening. You think you're waking up, but you're not. And that's scary, just thinking about it, actually.
I wouldn't claim to be awake.
Do what?
I wouldn't claim to be awake. All I claim is that I worked on myself.
Yeah.
And that I continuously try to keep working on myself. I keep asking to be better than I was the day before. That's, that's it.
I will admit, late tonight, Joseph, I'm probably going to listen to some podcasts and stuff as I fall asleep. I like listening to Phil Hendry, actually. We're going to take our last break. I can't believe nobody's called in and asked any questions. Nobody wants this last book. Really? By the way, before we go into the break, there's a lady out there named June. I lost your address. You won that $25 gift certificate. I really, if you're listening, please email me. I've been trying to find you so I can give it to you. I'll even give you the digits via email so you don't have to wait on the mail. But, so if you can call me, email me, please. We'll be right back. The last segment of Lighting the Void for tonight.
This is Cortana from Shift Happens, telling you to pour a glass and park your ass, because you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Shithead.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Rich Giordano here from the Paranormal Code. I'm now live Monday through Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on The Fringe FM. See you there.
Want to know what's on The Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out! That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com. Dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Who were the real ancient Egyptians? What is it about ancient Egypt that captivates us all? The critically acclaimed series Magical Egypt is back with all new episodes. Let Chance Gardner and company take you on another adventure through Magical Egypt in the new series Magical Egypt 2. Magical Egypt 2 attempts a forensic reconstruction of the science of the ancients through a study of ancient aesthetics. Also, the best researchers and authors in the field like John Anthony West, Graham Hancock, Laird Scranton, Robert Bouval, Lon Mal Duquette, Aaron Cheek, and more join
join together to explore the topics of the esoteric and the hidden messages of the ancient Egyptians. Just go to magicalegypt.com right now and put in the code word FRINGE and get 10% off any download or order, including the groundbreaking original Magical Egypt series, as well as the new episodes in Magical Egypt 2. Also, check out the great work and the companion series at magicalegypt.com. Click the banner on the Fringe FM or go to magicalegypt.com and use the code word FRINGE and get 10% off your order today while it lasts. Lighting the Void is proud to announce Mind and Magic's Protection and Defense Course for protection from magical and psychic attacks. This is not a joke. Magic practitioners are on the rise, and with that comes attacks from baneful or black magicians that try to harm or hurt others for their own selfish reasons. If you are not a believer in psychic attacks, then this isn't for you. If you are, and you want the power to defend yourself and your family and home, then I highly suggest you grab Freighter Xavier's Protection and Defense Course. In this course, you will learn how to tell if you are under attack from a natural source or if an individual is attacking you. The 4 forms of curses and attacks. How to remove self-imposed curses. The correct way to cleanse your home from negativity or malevolent entities. How to make your own holy water. What you should always keep near or under your bed. Herbs that banish negativity and promote purity. The most powerful banishing rituals on the planet. And for those that seem to want to harm you the most, how to put your enemies in a hell pit of their own making. You can also learn protection against shadow people and other entities. Or are you just in a bad planetary alignment? Even how to get rid of an enemy using a tic-tac box. It does not matter what your faith or belief is, this will work. Click the banner on the website at lightingthevoid.com or go to lightingthevoid.com/Xavier.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. We're here with the Rev. Dan Lopez. An entire night, just us, talking about magic and all the weird stuff we think about and some of the journeys I've been through. I want to give a shout out to Kevin from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, who called in, won that last book. And like I told him during the break when he called in, if I was smart, I would use this amazing voice tracker thing, but I just I haven't figured it out yet. But I've got all this fancy stuff. One of these days I'm going to be able to take those calls during the break and then play them when we come back, just like that guy does on Power 92. Magic. I told you that story once, right? That I wish I could reveal this, like when this happened, but Mike, I don't want to say his name, I almost did, told me that he called into Art Bell's program one time, and he heard his phone call on later. Remember me telling you about this? And he said that, and I did it too later, but you hear your phone call later, and he called back in. He said, how did I just made that call 10 minutes ago. How did you just play it now? And Art Bell told him magic, right? See, I think Art was into magic. He just didn't talk about it like I'm doing, He had his.
I wouldn't doubt it.
But it was one of his favorite subjects. And one of his wives, I think, wasn't it Ramona, was a Wiccan, I believe. I think he was into it. But anyways.
Before the Philippine woman?
Man, honestly, I get them confused, to be honest with you.
Me too.
Is that bad?
No.
Well, anyways,
it's not like we're on Belgab.
That's one of these nights I'm going to do. I'm going to play all the times that I called into Art Bell's program, and there's one phone call specifically that I called into Heather Wade that everyone's going to be really shocked that it was me.
Ramona was a witch.
She was a witch, right?
That's what Eric Markham says. Yeah.
So, I mean, he wouldn't have married one if he didn't know.
And she was Filipino. Look, see?
Oh, you're on the money.
Look at that.
Phil Hendry, there you go. Now you're talking real radio, Joseph K. See, that's what I love.
Yeah,
I love live radio. I just want to say that real quick. There are people out there that really appreciate the art of it. Art Bell was one of them. Phil Hendry is the man. I actually tried to get him on the Fringe FM, and he just was like, that maybe, no. Because this guy used to get paid like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he could get on the radio and do the caller, the characters, and he did it so well that the callers that would call into the program believed he was really carrying on conversations with these people. And just come up with just the most ridiculous stuff. And if you ever want to feel better, right? Laughter is a thing. Laughter is magic, if you ask me. If you could be having the worst day of your life, turn Phil Hendry on and just listen to it for a while. I promise you're going to feel better.
You had me cracking up with that Reverend X dude. I was like, what am I watching?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Spirit of Truth. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Everybody wants their own show, their own TV show, radio. Everybody and their brother's got a radio show or podcast right now, and there's a lot of good stuff out there, actually. But you want to laugh? Get on YouTube and look up Reverend X, Spirit of Truth. If you're a hardcore Christian, don't, because you're going to be mad at me.
Yeah, really.
Don't do it, please.
You're going to get upset.
But if you appreciate like humor and you're kind of open minded about it, you're going to laugh until you cry. And I want that to happen for you. Again, congratulations, Kevin, for winning that last book. At the beginning of the month, I emailed everything out. I think everybody's got all their prizes already. You got your book too, didn't you? And then the only one I'm concerned about is good old Canada out there. I don't know if you got yours yet or not. And
me?
No. I sent a DVD package out, friend. That was. I hope it makes it. I don't know how long it makes it to get out there. But here's another mystery I wanted to talk to you guys about. The 3 knocks. I've brought it up on this program. The 3 knocks, right? Before I tell you why I'm worried about this, I've got a picture, if anybody's seen the studio pictures. I got a picture of Jesus knocking on the door right there on my northern wall. But this was something that Dan talked about on his radio program that related to me. I kept having dreams of hearing 3 knocks, like bang, bang, bang. Heavy knocks, like someone's knocking on the door. I'd jump up out of bed, run to the door, nobody there. I'm thinking, well, maybe it was somebody pulling a prank. It happened again. Bah, bah, bah. 3 knocks. Run to the door, nothing. After about the 5th time, I said, something's going on here. Now, this was the time back in the day, which I haven't really talked to you guys about, when I got into masonry. I got into masonry before I got into magic, right? And that was their thing, right? 3 knocks on the door. If you look at you can read the rituals, the knock, knock, knock. Same thing in the Golden Dawn, 3 knocks or whatever. So what the hell's going on here? Why is this such a mystery about the 3 knocks? And now it's happening in my dreams. Yours was different, though. You actually had a physical... Your door actually opened, didn't it?
My bedroom door. That's when it was too much.
What the hell is that? What's that? What's this 3 knock thing about?
I was getting the same thing that you were talking about, where I didn't know if it was my dream or not, but it was so damn loud. It would get me out of bed, and I'd run to the front door. And I kept doing that for a couple of times, and then a couple of times it got inside, and it knocked on the bedroom door, and I was still not sure if it was in my head or if I was between sleep and wakefulness, but then it was like right at my bedroom door. And then when I looked, I jumped and I looked, and my door literally eased open. And I was like, that was when I had taken it into my, that's when I looked up Doreen, the other one, Dion
Fortune,
to look up the thing, and I wound up doing the salt water and because that was like, that's it, that's enough, that's too close, because my little one was staying with me And I know point blank from reading enough stuff and from hearing enough stories, what you can't see can't hurt you.
Oh man, this is
so
freaking
I was like,
me
all
out,
right.
Real quick.
It shook me.
Joseph just said Whitley Strieber had 3 sets of 3 knocks in his book Communion.
I only had the one. It would only be one set of 3 knocks.
Yeah.
And that was it. Because I thought the same thing. Because there was because in Samuel in the Bible, it also says that, if you hear your name, you should pay attention. And if you hear your name called 3 times, you should really pay attention, because that means, the Lord is calling you. So I took all of this into account, and I was like, well, if it's so benevolent, I will do what I got to do, and it'll still be around. You know what I mean? But if it's not for the best interest, then it won't be. So I did I did the salt water and the water ritual, blessed it, and then went and did the lesser banishing all over the house, and sprayed the circle of salt water.
You made some holy water too,
place.
right? Did you make some holy water?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I did the water and the salt water ritual, and blessed my own water. And then I went around everything. I went to every window, every freaking drain, every doorway, every closet, everything. And then after I was done, I stood in the middle of my house, and I called upon everything that was here that I have no way of banishing. Because I know there are multiple dimensions, because people have asked me to close portals. And every time I went to try to close a portal, visualizing closing the portal, it always closed, bam, 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 bam. And I don't know what that was all about, but they're saying that when you close a portal, you got to close them all. And for some reason, that's what I saw when I would close the portals. So I asked anything that was here to help, that if you want to keep the peace in this place, I can't stop you from coming and going or doing whatever you do. But if you're going to be here, that to help me maintain peace in this place that we shared, the occupancy. And that I will do, and I will protect it to the best of my ability for you as well. And I look, I don't know what to say, but the knocking stopped.
Oh my God, that was such a cool story, Dan. I'm sorry, I caved and just annihilated this little Debbie while you was telling that.
Good.
Both Swiss rolls, just I don't even know if I had time to taste them.
It was talking to you.
I'm weak.
Oh, stop.
No, but look, this knocking thing is weird. Even in Masonic rituals, they talk about 3 times 3. Here, this guy's talking about 3 sets of knocks.
So, but explain that. What is the significance of the 3 knocks in 3 sets?
I don't know. Somebody knows. Call in if you know. 93 was the Lima's thing too. That was their number, 93.
What was 777 about?
777 was the book that he wrote of correspondences. Liber 777. Actually, Samuel L. McGregor Mathers wrote that book, and Crowley kind of, somehow or another, it's attributed to Aleister Crowley, like he wrote it.
Oh.
But some of the, that's another thing I wanted to talk about with Crowley is people say he went to this island or whatever out there, this house of Boleskine, and invoked demons, and now we have this Loch Ness monster and all kinds of stuff because of it. There's a grimoire that's called it's the Sacred Magic of Abramel and the Mage. You can get the book. That ritual goes through a series of you have to go through I guess, a series of demons. I don't know. I haven't really read the whole thing, but you're trying to get in touch with your holy guardian angel. So actually, Crowley was out there trying to get in touch with his holy guardian angel, but this ritual takes like a month or so, I think. I mean, it's like you gotta fast and do all this other stuff. And I don't think he had evil intention when he went. I think he really was trying to commune with his holy guardian angel, but for some reason, and there's been a lot of speculation as to why,
right,
he stopped and didn't finish the ritual. Now, that's not good.
No, for the same reason that I was talking about my my grandparent.
I think you can.
You have to keep the thing going.
I mean, I think you can close the circle, but I still don't know about all that. See, this is advanced stuff. I mean, we didn't even talk about alchemy, you know. I remember David Griffin, he's got an episode on Magic 101 where he talks about alchemy is not Jungian. It's not all the stuff that people think. It's actual energetic transmutation where you can travel planets and stars and stuff. And I'm like, and it's only verbally handed down still to this day. And I was just like, what? You know?
Well, that's what I was talking about before with the magic squares, because they were saying that that's what they were using to invoke discarnate beings, demons, or whatever you want to call them. And this is how people were getting advantages, because they were able to get people to get these demons, or whatever you want to call them, discarnate beings, to do things for them that could not be done in the carnal, because you'd be found out. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't the story with the coin? Some coin showed up. Somebody was missing a coin. It was weird. There was somebody had gotten ripped off because there were some coins that were missing. And there's a story about a guy. He ran into another guy who told him a story about his past. Oh yeah, that's right. It was one of Dark Water's freaking friends. And he was saying how
he was on the show talking about that. Yeah, the demon followed the coin.
That flipped me out. Yeah.
That's something we didn't get into tonight, like talismans and stuff, you know.
Attachments and all kinds of stuff like that. And,
I mean,
yeah, man.
There's so much to this book. I mean, if you get just the Golden Dawn book, you can't even hardly grab it. It's so big. And when I was on Grimerica, I remember Darren Grimes, he was like, well, can I just get the abridged version, you know? Like, you can't really get the abridged version, but I got so much feedback, from good feedback and bad. Like, people were like, oh, you're an imperialist, or you're trying to get a black belt in magic, and yada. And all I was trying to express is this was a system of white magic that I learned a little bit about, and that I thought was good, and that we need to slow down when it comes to practicing these things and getting involved with it and be a little bit more careful. And that's all I wanted to talk about. That's it.
You want to hear something funny? There's something going on with somebody who, Kurt, I think, Joseph had brought it up. But what he was talking about is not what triggered me. What triggered me were the numbers. And Tesla was talking about the numbers, and somebody else was talking about, because I'm a stickler for sound and audio engineering and stuff like that. And there's information regarding 3, 6, and 9. And there's a relationship between on the music scale, the frequency between E and F and B and C, because there is no note between the two. Those are the only two keys in the musical scale that don't have a flat or a sharp.
Okay.
But there's a frequency in between there, which actually does have an effect. And I have an audio generator, and there's got to be something to it, because I've been getting resistance.
Do you think it's a frequency?
Getting into, I think the secret of creation is frequency.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more to it. That's just a generalization of a generalization. But there is something to that, and I do intend on looking into that. So if I disappear at any given point in the future, you'll know that the frequency got me. It got me.
No, but I do. That's interesting. I hope you don't disappear. But if you do, we'll know what happens. But look, for all of you that have messaged me and asked me about this, just go to. There's so many references I'll give you, but the first one I would say is, and I told Rich Giordano the same thing, just go to Mind and Magick's channel, go to the Mystery School, and start there, because that's pretty much where I started. And then, because you got to start somewhere, right? You can't just get in there and start talking to somebody that's super advanced in this stuff and expect to know everything. It just don't work that way. You know, start there, and after that, you can decide if it's something that you're interested in or if it's something that you're not. And, you know, at least he's smarter than I am. He's smart enough. No one knows this guy's identity, so therefore he can talk about his magic all day long, and nobody really knows who he is.
Is it call-in?
What?
Is it call-in?
Is it a call-in?
Yeah, I don't know. I missed who you were talking about.
Frater Xavier's on YouTube, Mind and Magick. Just go to that
channel. You were
channel.
just saying nobody knows him.
Nobody knows who he is. That's right.
Okay.
Now, you know, you can do videos without showing your face, you know.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so nobody knows who the guy is, and he talks about that. He talks about NLP, conjuration, the laws of constant and contract. You know, I think there's a magic to that, too. Look at all the things you've signed your name to, and you wonder why you don't get out of that. And the sovereigns kind of understand this right now. So there's a little bit of awakening going on with that. But just like it says in the Bible, you know, the mysteries will be revealed. All that is hidden will be revealed. I think that's starting to happen. But
we'll see.
This show is a show of questions, not answers. Although we are looking for answers, but we're, just like I told Kevin during the break, I'm not here to browbeat you with my opinions on society, reality, or politics, or even the paranormal community. We're just here to explore consciousness, truth, and see if it's all related, because I think it is. You know, I've connected the dots a little bit between science and magic, consciousness and magic, consciousness and science. Where I got to start connecting the dots is the alien thing. I know it. I know there's something to this. You know.
Or maybe you'll disappear.
I hope I don't disappear.
I hope you don't either.
I hope I don't disappear, man. I got too much to do.
You keep asking for it, you're going to get a dream. You asked for this.
What happened? Well, you'll know when I disappear because the show will go off air. Because the repeat will happen. Be like, what's this about?
Where's Joe? I don't know. He was talking about gray beings and funny lights.
But, you know, a couple of movies opened my eyes up, I will say, before we get out of here. I want to say, you know, The Informant opened my eyes up, and another movie called, this is not related to magic, but I want you to be aware of this. Watch the movie The Informant and see how a human can lie to everybody and convince them and just put lies on top of lies on top of lies. And he's such a nice guy, and everybody likes him, but he's really a grand deceiver. That's going on in this community. And then watch the Hereafter, and see the struggles of a real psychic or a real medium on journeys when people go through and they talk to all these sham artists who say they're psychics and mediums and aren't. These things bother me. It's hard to get to the truth when there's so much BS out there, you know?
Yep.
But, yeah. There you go. I hope everybody kind of sees where I'm at. Like, I didn't get into talismans and scrying and divination and astrology and the Hebrew language. And I could talk about this stuff for hours upon hours, but I have no specific answers for you on what you should or shouldn't do in this field of magic. My main message about it is it's real, it's there, it's happening. There's good and there's evil there, I think. And if you're going to do it, just take it slow. That's all I wanted to say. Think that's good enough to get out on here, Dan?
Think so.
I think
it's the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Fool card on the tarot.
Right.
There you go.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Fool card. Anyways, Dan, this is fun. We'll have to do it again.
It's always a good time.
We do this from time to time, actually, and it's real fun. But I got to get out of here. Don't forget this show was broadcasted by the Fringe FM only. It cannot be syndicated without written permission. The music was by Chronox, Bundy, Space Station, and Kevin MacLeod. See you guys tomorrow night. Good night.